right now. You ready?
Alright. Yeah.
Cool, and we are live. I'm gonna pull up chat on my phone just in case anybody watches this bullshit. And we just swore in the first minute of the video. We're gonna see how audio mixing is. I think I'm pretty good.
I was about to say, oh no, not monetization. Well, yeah, you are streaming on the main channel, so there's no monetization to worry about.
I'm not monetized on any channel now. Demi and the Goons
You
got
got
demonetized.
unmonetized on Demi and the Goons? How?
Demi and the Goons got Sad Boy Fu. Hi, how are you doing? How's it going, Spice Chai? Demi and the Goons got demonetized due to inactivity.
That's a thing that can happen?
Yeah, those will
Huh.
monetize you if you're not active enough. So, hi everybody, I'm Demi Gloom. I'm with my friend Riley, and in case you didn't know, back in November, 11 months ago or so, I debated Ben Shapiro, and today I'm going to be reacting to people reacting. This is the reaction of my debate with Ben Shapiro, and a lot of conservatives and leftists alike have reacted to my debate on YouTube. So we're going to give it a shot, see what they have to say. Perhaps I'll change my mind today. See how things are
Hope
going.
that at least one person in this playlist does a reaction to your reaction of their reaction.
No, they're not going to do that. So first off, we've
Somebody
got
has to do it. Tipster, you're probably in this playlist. Get it done. You ain't got nothing else going on.
we got nothing but love for Tipster over here. I don't want to.
We love Tipster. Great guy.
All right, are you ready to get started?
Yes, let's go.
All right.
Hello, Ben. There was a time
First one's from Yinka, that guy.
where the word mother exclusively described a woman in relation to her biological offspring.
And by the way, chat, let us know how audio mixes. If anyone's too loud, if either me or Riley are too loud or too quiet, or if the video's too loud or too quiet. Please let me know.
But our definition
I'm gonna
has
skip
since
through the
shifted to
part
account
that's
for
just
adoption,
my
recognizing a more
debate.
social
You
and
guys
less
have already
biological
seen
outlook on
that.
motherhood. My question for you is, how affirming transgender identity is such a threat to biology when we have clear
Sorry to
precedent
make
for
it funny
language.
faces.
Okay, so usually there is a distinction. You can call it somebody mother, but then an adopted biological
Alright,
mother,
gonna...
will be almost insemination. Biology
He's threatened.
Oh my
Truth
god, this guy's mic is awful.
is threatened.
And what Ben Shapiro said is absolutely true. It's not that biology is threatened, it's the truth that's threatened.
Yeah, what the
These
fuck
people
is
want to
up with this
continue
guy's
to lie
mic?
to everyone, lie to society, lie to the kids that are just growing up and be able to just do what they want and define things the way they want to define them and change the definitions of things to things that make absolutely no sense. And as I usually say in all my videos, these people always have a certain look.
I'm not worried about biology.
What do you mean they always have a certain look? What are you just calling me ugly? Is that it? He's saying I look like a predator?
And I love when conservative jackasses just decide that the definitions of words can't change over time.
Yeah, they
And
could
that's
never
the hill that
change.
they decide to die on in every fucking argument ever about anything. Cool, that's not what that word. That's not what fucking Webster said that word means. So
Yeah.
fuck you.
So obviously the definition of words change over time. The definitions exist to create utility or to serve a utility, that utility being to describe what people mean when they say a word. Usually when people use the word woman or say, oh, that was a woman over there, they're not saying because they had a fucking x-ray vision and looked and saw what their chromosomes were. It's usually because they were able to identify a set of social characteristics that they exhibited and we're like, oh, that's a woman. So we're just updating the definition to account for what people mean when they say the word nowadays. As far as the saying biology is not threatened, truth is threatened, I'm talking about the truth of biology. I'm talking about the truth. I am talking about the truth. When I say threat to biology, what they're saying, I'm talking about definitions. So there's this weird separation of what truth is and what biology is. I don't understand the weird argument from Shapiro.
Biology being threatened. If you want to threaten your biology, I mean that's your prerogative.
You want
But
to debate Sad Boy Foo's dad?
No, I
That's what Foo
don't.
wants to know.
No, I
Sad
don't want to
Boy.
debate your dad, sad boy foo.
You should debate people's dads. That'd be a funny series. Just get your friends and debate their dads. Friends or audience members or anyone out there, just be like, I'll debate your like the people who say like my dad will fight your dad, like I will debate your dad. That's Demi Gloom's new series.
That would be pretty funny.
that has no definition.
And I said that in one of my previous videos. It's like saying a helicopter is something that we
I'm
call a
apparently
helicopter.
insanely
That makes
quiet,
absolute
according to Bell.
What did you say?
Bell says in chat that I am insanely quiet.
Okay. Turn you up. All right, let me know if this is any better. Riley,
How do I
talk.
sound, Bell? How is it sounded now?
Sad Boy Foo says my dad doesn't believe in climate change or trans people. Neither does my dad. Yeah. So I'm sorry to hear that.
no sense. You're not describing anything. You're not telling us what this thing actually is. You're just using the same word to describe the thing that you're trying to describe.
No, I'm not using the same word. A murderer is somebody who commits murder. We have words for a teacher is someone who teaches. We have words. What I'm saying is a woman is someone who exhibits womanhood, or womanhood, or a set of characteristics associated with females. It's not a circular definition because I did provide an actual definition. So when I say a woman is someone who, I could say a woman is someone who exhibits a set of characteristics associated with the female sex, or a set of social characteristics traditionally associated with that sex. I don't see why that's circular. It's not circular. I'm saying it's not the sex itself. It's the traits associated with them. I'm not saying that a woman is a woman. I've never said that. I can define what a woman is without using the word woman. Someone who exhibits a set of characteristics associated with females. And that's basically what I said in the thing. Sure, I did say it's someone who exhibits womanhood, and womanhood is a set of characteristics associated with females. Perhaps I should have not used that word because it's an easy trap. I definitely fell into the trap. But yeah, I don't think my definition was circular at all. It actually provided an answer to what it was. It didn't defer to it itself.
To define a category, the
And that's
category
the
has to
thing
have
about
definition.
these conservative jerk-offs is like they'll really latch onto one little word you said or thing you did and just really rip into it. Because I think your definition was easily understandable. I had no problem with it, and it honestly shocked me. I have plenty of friends on the other side who I have talked to about your Ben Shapiro debate, and they all took issue with that definition. I'm like, what are you talking about? It makes perfect sense. You're just being insane. I know she said female, and female is woman, so blah 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 circular, but you all know what she's saying. You're just being pedantic.
Yeah. And I'm not even saying that a woman and a female are necessarily the same thing. I'm saying the female sex. I'm actually separating sex and gender. When God. It's
Yeah,
just
well, what I'm saying is that a lot of people consider female and woman to be
yeah.
like the same word, so that's why the conservatives are like, you said female in the definition. That means you failed.
My current definition that I'll stand by is a set of someone who exhibits characteristics associated with the female sex, to the point that they would identify as a female themselves, which is see, even that doesn't work. It's one of those really complicated terms. Even adult human female, though, is like the one that the conservatives give is a complicated definition in and of itself, because what a female is entirely subjective. Like you could say it's because there are people who are born with 2X chromosomes as female, right? Yeah, 2X chromosomes.
So.
I'm pretty sure. I forget which one it is.
I always
2X.
forget.
I forget if it's XY or XX, but I know there are people who are like born with 2X chromosomes that are like physically basically men. They like grow facial hair and have like an insane amount of testosterone in their body, and vice versa. And like those people, and there are like plenty of intersex people and plenty of people all across the spectrum of sex. So like saying an adult human female isn't any less complicated or any less broad than my definition, which is someone who exhibits sets of characteristics associated with said sex. Yeah.
Real quick, Bell in chat says a conservative is somebody who exhibits the set of characteristics traditionally associated with Nazism. That's pretty good.
Hey, we're trying to be more bipartisan here during the election.
No, you're right. Let's all hug and hold hands. And
Try to be nice.
broaden that category out to include things that are clearly not in that category. And in fact, there are only two categories, male and female. They're actually in the other
Yeah, we've already seen.
truth, and nobody should accept that.
Before we get back into the video, I need all of you to turn on your post notifications so I can get notified when one of my videos come out. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video if you enjoyed the video, comment down below. I'll try and reply to as many
Time
comments
to
as possible, and follow me on Instagram
subscribe
and Twitter
to
at
Yinka,
Let's
that
get back
guy,
into the
real
video.
quick.
By basic biological.
This guy's like not talking at all. This guy's like not talking.
Not
he's
even
just
doing.
he's just
not
stealing the
saying
debate.
shit.
He's just stealing the content.
Such thing as a cis
distinction between cis women and
Occasionally
trans
he'll
women.
pause and say the exact thing that Ben Shapiro is saying in a slightly differently phrased way.
Explain.
And that's
The
Yeah.
all he's
distinction
doing.
is you people are absolutely confused. There's no such thing as
You-
a cis
You people, goddamn.
women. It's either women or men. That's the
Either women or men.
only categories we have.
only
You
categories
guys
we
can continue
have.
to delude yourself, can continue to lie to yourself. You guys can continue to live in la la land. You will never be able to change the biological realities that there's just men and women, boys, girls, females, and males. That's it. Sorry to burst your bubble of the dreamland you guys want to live in, but we don't live in dreamland. We live in reality.
Okay, again, he's ignoring my argument. My argument is that when you say the word man or say the word woman, you're referring to a set of concepts that are outside of biology and chromosomes, which is how we traditionally define gender and sex. Do we even need to watch more of this guy? I feel like he's just
No, he's boring.
yeah, it's
Go to the
boring
next
as hell.
one.
Smashed that dislike button. I'm not gonna watch Keffel's or Vosh's reactions to my debate for obvious reasons. Next we have Devin Gibson, who has, I believe, like 1 million subscribers. Yeah, this guy is pretty wild. I'm excited.
Okay. I might subscribe to this guy by the end. I immediately like the smile on his face. He looks like he's gonna have some energy.
He's pretty evil.
All right, y'all.
I haven't just full disclosure, I've skimmed through a lot of these, but I haven't like sat through any of them in their entirety. But I've seen a Devin Gibson video before.
All right, y'all. Good morning, afternoon.
I am reading
or
chat
evening,
like a
whenever you're
co-host when
tuning
there's
in.
something
I'm grateful
interesting,
to have you
Redox.
here, and we
Fuck
got my
off.
man Ben Shapiro back in the building, taking on a pro-trans student at the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Already, this guy can't. Wisconsin, really? What do you mean Wisconsin? Come on.
I'm sure this is going to be a doozy as usual. I'm sure it'll be kind of nuts as usual, but I'll give my 2 cents on the back end. Let's get it popping.
In one of your more infamous debates, you said are
Yeah.
referring to
Let's get it poppin'.
When you start including
to an
idea of female, you also have the same. Sometimes
I apologize if you haven't seen my debate yet. Go watch that.
bio.
you can point
But
out.
I don't want to watch it like
difference
30 times tonight.
this.
This guy's just
in that-
he just puts the whole debate in his video.
I can't make that fit into logic because it doesn't. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me just go
Did you
ahead.
hear Ben's voice crack there? A little bit.
I can't make
Oh,
that
yeah.
fit into logic because it doesn't. I mean,
It doesn't.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me just go ahead and identify as a 6'8" Asian woman that is president of the United States. I'm just the leader of the entire free world.
Being Asian and being the president are terms that don't have ambiguous definitions, nor when we refer to being Asian or when we refer to being president do we refer to an ambiguous concept that has traveled outside of its initial definition. It's when you say that's an Asian person, you've almost always are taking note of the fact that they have physical characteristics that that make you clock them as from the continent of Asia. Same thing with President of the United States. Also, iron your fucking American flag before you hang it up.
Y'all gonna go along with that? You see how crazy
I'm
and
trying not to be
out
mean.
of touch with reality this whole identification process can
What's the
get
point
when
of
you
this
think
stream if not
you
to be
are
mean? Oh,
something
maybe
that
that's why
you'll
you
never
invited
be,
me.
and people
I don't know.
are expected to go along with that. This gets all sorts of cattywampus. This gets all sorts of wonky and just a dark, slippery slope that we can't allow these people to continue to go down. I'm not going down.
Slippery slope is a logical fallacy. You can't just... God. This is so mind-numbingly stupid that I'm having a hard time responding. Do you have an actual problem with transgenderism, or is it a slippery slope? Do you believe that transgenderism is fine, but it's leading people down a path that is ultimately destructive once you reach its logical conclusions? You can only be on one side. It's not a if you have an actual problem with transgenderism, it's not a slippery slope. It's just a bad thing. So just say it's a bad thing. Which I mean, he kind
Is
of
that a
did.
giant? Is that a giant bullet that
I
says
think
pew
so.
pew on his desk?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
with you. If you want to go down in despair and wind up depressed, anxiety, suicidal tendencies, by all means. But I love people so much that I'm going to tell you the truth. Despite how much it may trigger you, or you may be a little snowflake that gets in your feelings, I'm going to tell you like it is, because I would want somebody to tell me the truth so I don't wind up in deep, dark despair. That's just how I roll. And I don't always agree with Ben Shapiro, but when it comes to biological truths, this man is always on point. When it comes to this subject right here,
Again, I don't deny the biology. First of all, Ben Shapiro says this wasn't a conversation about biology. Biology was not threatened. And then he's talking about, like, Ben Shapiro owned me about the biological reality, which is kind of, there, you can't be both at the same time. And this dude is
Real
saying,
quick. Sorry,
yeah,
I didn't mean to interrupt you. My bad.
no, go on.
I was gonna say, Redox in chat said, "Tell Riley to speak up." And considering I'm screaming into my mic, I might need to be turned up a little bit.
Okay. Have you turned up? Redox, let us know if,
Okay.
let us know how it is.
Yeah, let us know if this is better. Listen, man, this guy might be pretty stupid, but I like his hat and I like his beard, so.
I don't
good
like his
guy.
beard. I think it looks dumb.
What? I
Just
think
not
I just
not a great beard.
I have respect for the craft of giant beards.
It's a well-groomed beard, and it's very large, but it's just, like, not a good look in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe
here,
not.
thank you, Ben, for sanity. Like, seriously, I always respect his tremendous patience towards these people, and they're clearly
Oh yeah, his patience when he cuts off my microphone and interrupts me constantly.
Yeah, fucking patient.
Yeah, okay.
suffering from a mental illness and identity crisis, or that's the same thing. However you want to classify it, it ain't right, and it's not leading to anything promising. And I'm glad the guy ended up walking away when he knew that Ben proved him wrong, because that
I walked away not because I knew Ben proved me wrong. I walked away because I ran out of time. And the lady holding my microphone was like, okay, go, next person's up. You have a limited time during these events. I didn't walk away because Ben proved me wrong.
could have gotten real embarrassing real fast, and then he'd probably just shut down, and that's not the goal here. I hope that the young man does find the help that he needs, and that he does turn to Jesus Christ, and I pray that same
Okay, that got religious really quickly. I haven't turned to
Wait,
Jesus
hear
Christ.
him out. Hear him out.
Okay, I'll hear him out. I'll let him cook.
same thing for Ben Shapiro, because at some point you got to pay the piper. At some point you got to recognize the most overwhelming major truth, and that's that Christ is the Lord and Savior, and Jesus is the only way to heaven. You could do all the things that you want to on earth, play make-believe, dress up however you want to, but at the end of the day, if you don't live in righteousness and if you don't find that narrow path, my goodness, it is not going to be a good ending for you. Get the ice buckets ready, because that's what's coming. The more we can
Like, what do I say to this? I'm not religious, so I don't know what to say. Like, do I have to debunk God on stream right now? Like, is that what I have to
Do
do?
you have a debunk of God?
No,
Just
I don't
ready
have
to
it.
fire?
I don't have a debunk of God. No, I'm agnostic. So there's like really, I'm not committed to any religion. Hey, who's Esben M? Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Just being this guy is more embarrassing than anything I can think of. True. Being Devin Gibson, pretty cringe, honestly.
consume this hot garbage over and over and over again, the more my brain just starts to throb. It literally makes my equilibrium hurt. And I know that I have to keep watching it, though, and I have to keep putting it on the forefront and using the platform that I've been blessed with to expose these lies that are flooding our society, to help save the youth and to teach these kids the truth.
The lies that are flooding the society, saving the kids from me wearing a dress and wanting to be called she. Wanting to have
you gotta rescue him.
wanting to be called she instead of he. Completely me wanting to adhere to from one man-made concept of what you're supposed to do, what roles you're supposed to exhibit, to another man-made concept of what roles you're supposed to exhibit. Me wanting to shift from one man-made concept of gender to another. It's all man-made. It's not. God didn't create dresses. God didn't create pronouns. These are human-made things. I'm not doing.
I'm just thinking about God making pronouns, and that's a funny concept to me.
These are sinful abominations, and I recognize that, and I always have to keep on defending morality because it's what God
I'm a
instructed me to do as a
sinful
Christian, and we need to teach these
abomination.
people and these kids the truth so that these next generations aren't completely
You
deteriorated.
know,
And so
this
it matters
guy,
hope.
right?
That-
Where he loses me, you know, besides the terrible opinions about transgender rights and
Of
such,
course.
where he loses me is, you know, I almost dig the look in the set. And like, you're allowed to be religious, you're allowed to have religious stuff in
Absolutely.
the frame. You get 2, and that shirt counts as 5. Lose the shirt, the cross is fine, the Bible is fine. Lose the fucking shirt. That shirt's terrible.
That shirt's pretty bad, yeah. Oh, I've seen worse shirts.
It's just like, maybe if there was no other Jesus stuff and it was just the Jesus shirt, I'd be able to forget. But the cross and the Bible and the Jesus shirt, too much. Too much Bible.
Yeah, I don't have
Tone it down a little bit.
like a trans flag here, a gender equality sign here, and then like a another trans thing, and then like a Karl Marx book. Like, I'm not like, I mean, I guess I don't really have a big like setup, but like that, I feel like that would be considered overkill. Yeah, I don't know.
That's why I do this. So when they say things like women are cis and there's non-binary and LGBTQIA+, all these sort of
Women are cis, and there's a non-binary. Like, this guy clearly has no idea what I was talking about. He just saw transgender and was like, and whipped out his like copied and pasted transgender argument with like no, I don't even know if he watched the debate and with like paid any attention at all to the debate. I feel like he just saw transgender and whipped out the default argument that he makes.
What if this is a fake reaction stream? What if he just sat in front of a camera with your debate not playing and said these things and then just layered it over the debate?
That would be really funny.
letters of the
He just has like 90 videos that are this same video, but with like different Ben Shapiro debates in front of him.
alphabet, they all lead to the same thing. It's not man and woman, the covenant that God created it to be marriage, you know, the only two that can produce a baby together. If it's not that, if that's not how you're laying it down and that's not the things that you're
That's
pursuing,
honestly
you're
a
not gonna
good
be
grip.
fulfilled.
People, the dumb conservatives probably would follow it. That's a good channel idea. To just start a conservative grip channel and you react to like trans stuff, but it's always the same video. Just layered into that's a good channel idea. Somebody should steal that. That's a pretty good bit.
I think there's a rule on YouTube against recycling content like that.
That's going to lead to destruction, I can promise you. Women are women. They aren't cis anything. It sounds
Women are women, they aren't cis. This is so incoherent. What do I say to this? Like, how do I respond to this? Women aren't cis. Do I have to define what cis means? Cis just means not transgender. This is another thing that pisses me off. My dad would always say this too, like, no, fucking, you want to be trans freaks, whatever, come up with your weird terms, I don't give a shit. But the moment you start including me, calling me cis, I'm normal. And it's like, do you have a problem being called Caucasian or heterosexual? Do you have a problem being called any of these terms that exist? That exist to identify you as outside of a group? It does.
To be fair, the idea of the argument, perhaps you're getting a little bit pedantic yourself, because it's pretty obvious the idea of the argument is that this person is surmising that since the existence of the term cisgender applies, there can be variation on that. The term itself is farcical. That is the argument that's being made.
So you think the argument's being made that trans doesn't exist?
I think that's what he's saying.
I don't know.
Sounds like it.
like they're saying cyst, you know, that uncomfortable fluid sort of blister thing that could pop up inside or outside of a person's body. That's what I think of when they say cis, and all these just random names that have no
That's what I think of when I see cis people too.
sort of actual meaning whatsoever. There are facts. Truth still exists. A man is a man, a woman is a woman. God knitted us together exactly how he wanted us to be in our mother's womb, and you can't change that no matter how you feel about it. That's what it is. XX.
God knitted you in his God. You can't change anything.
He said what it is.
You can't shave your you can't shave your beard then. You have to let your beard grow then. If that's how we're gonna be. God didn't want you to. God naturally has your beard growing and growing and growing and growing till you're fucking 12 feet long, right?
Holy shit! The hat, the beard, said what it is. the Jesus stuff. This is White Eric July. We found him.
Oh no. All right, YouTube channel.
Yeah.
God made us naked, and you're wearing clothes. Like I don't. That's even.
True.
It's even
So
cringe of me to
true.
say that. Like I don't. It's different from when God created us. Okay, cool.
XY,
Different from how
deal
God
with
created
it,
us.
handle it. This whole entire trans thing has become a fad, and in a few years, there's gonna be a whole lot of regret because you can't go back once you started to take puberty blockers and tamper with the natural genetic hormones that God designed us to lean into, not run away from. And especially not when it gets even worse, when people start chopping off or swapping out or doing things that you're not supposed to do. You can't call a remix. You can't go back on that. Once you've enlisted in that sort of behavior and pursued.
I wonder if he's against organ transplants. If he's against people getting like life-saving organ transplants or having things swapped out and changed around surgically. Again, he's speaking about these things like so inherently as if they apply to anyone except for trans people when he's saying them. Really fucking annoying.
That action, there's no going back. I feel so bad for these people, but at the same time, you have to be bluntly honest because that sort of stuff cannot be undone. That's the truth. And unfortunately, we're living in a world now that they don't want to hear the truth that comes from God in the Bible. And that means those of us that stand on that righteousness as our foundation for everything, how we live every single day, people that are lost in sin, they won't want to hear that. They won't want us. And they'll try to cancel us, silence us, anything to make that accountability for their sin go away. That's what they'll try to do. And it will never, ever go away because God is the same yesterday, today, and forever with his perfect love and his judgment. So no matter how much you try to masquerade and try to, quiet us down, you can't quiet God down. You can't cancel what always is, the Alpha, the Omega, the greatest then, the greatest now, the
Can you
greatest
go
that
faster
ever
than
will be.
double?
Yeah. I'm not trying to cancel God. I love plenty of people who are religious, yada yada yada.
Cancel God.
The creator of all things. You can't erase him from reality. So the
I'm
sooner
not
we can
erasing
people,
him
the
from
sooner we can come
reality.
into the light and truly be fulfilled. Because all these changes that they're making, that they think are going to bring them contentment, that they think once they do one more action, once they do one more surgery, once they take one more blocker, oh, that's going to be the life I was after. That's going to be the happiness that I was seeking. You're going to be let down. Right now, these people are lost and stranded, being led by Satan. All Satan can do for you is lead you to death. When you wage sin, like we see, that only leads to one thing. Only Jesus Christ can curb the cravings that you think you need in life. Jesus Christ is the ultimate savior, the only Messiah. The one who beat death on the cross, was resurrected.
Yeah, because everybody, once they convert to Christ, they're happy, right? Christians famously the
Bro, I'm
happiest
sorry.
people.
Yeah, all the Christians I know have been extremely happy and well adjusted.
Yeah.
But man, I'm sorry, bro. But Santa Claus isn't real. I'm sorry, dude.
The thing is, I'm not trying to take a jab at Christians, but like the idea that like once you convert to Christ, your life is like, your life becomes a miracle full of blessings is simply untrue. I know plenty of Christian people who are very unhappy with their lives, who are, just as unhappy as I am. And the idea
As
that
M says, I keep fucking not paying attention enough to know that you're in the middle of a point. I'm sorry.
no, you're good. Go on.
As Ben M says, Jesus also said that it is the hypocrites who make a public display of their faith. He would not approve of that shirt. Wow.
Damn.
He gives us that helper after you've looked to him, put your faith in him, and been saved, so you don't have to try to do these wonky things anymore. You can live as though you know exactly what's going on, because you will know what's going on with Jesus Christ as the lamp that guides your steps. The path has already been laid. You just have to follow it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. You're going to be persecuted. You're going to face trials and tribulations, but have faith. Take heart, because Christ has already beaten the world. Christ will always overcome death, and he already has the game plan for you. It's right there. You just have to pursue that. I get it. It's easy to get lost when God isn't your nav.
This is just going to be telling me to convert to Christ. I don't know. We should rate all these guys out of 10. I'm giving this guy a 0 out of 10 right now.
Yeah, well, part of me likes the cut of his jib a little bit. That last guy was just nothing. That last guy was just complete fucking zero, nothing, no entertainment value. This guy, I'll at least give a 2. I got a small kick out of him in like very small ways.
I'll give him a 1. Not getting a 2.
Oh, Ben is here. He says, I'm an Orthodox Christian. I just tuned in and I don't know exactly what your thoughts or beliefs are. But what do you think? I'm not sure who this other person is either. Hi, I'm Riley. I'm agnostic. I think that it's silly to believe in God, but I try to respect people who do. It's just kind of hard for me to rationalize in my brain. Demi Gloom, how do you feel? Ben wants to know. Maybe Shapiro. Maybe he's here for revenge.
I think that he is Ben Shapiro. No, I'm agnostic. I think the concept of God is so abstract that it's impossible to know whether or not it exists, but I don't believe that, excuse me, any major religion has like a proper account of God and his interference with human life. That being said, I have plenty of respect for plenty of religious people of all major religions. And I have no beef with religion and its presence in society so long as people aren't, using it to justify hatred or telling me what to do, which is a small minority, or I would say a very loud minority of religious people, are particularly Christians, use their religion to justify like homophobia and transphobia in America specifically. But yeah, but like generally, I'm pretty chill with people who are religious. It never bothers me to learn someone's religious. I used to be so anti-religion that like when I heard someone was Christian, I was like, ugh, and it was hard for me to be friends with them. But like I don't care anymore. Live and let live.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like I'm perfectly willing to be friends with Christian. I'm perfectly willing to, at some level, respect what they do. But I just like they're gonna come to understand that I think what they believe is silly, and if they're willing to hang with that, and most of them are that I end up tangled up with, great. If not, then well, sorry.
Over the years, I've grown to think it's less silly. It's more like I think it's more abstract and it's really interesting to me. I'm always interested in talking to people about their religious beliefs. I don't think it's really silly. I think it's more interesting than silly nowadays. Although I just don't personally believe in it.
See Alex Rowley's chat.
Are you an Islam hater? Alex Rowley says. Ben says, no, I don't hate Islam. Neither do I. I don't hate Islam either.
I assume he was talking to Ben. Was about as anti-religion as you could get in my teenage years. I can completely understand modern anti-religious thoughts. How old are you, Ben? At least vaguely, if you don't mind me asking.
What's going on, everybody?
He quotes the exact age of Ben Shapiro.
I think Ben
We just
Shapiro
skipped
was
one?
like the Vosh
Oh, we
ones.
skipped Vaush. Yeah, okay. I thought Vaush and Keffels were both in a row. My bad.
They were. There's more Vosh people reacting to Vosh.
Oh, people reacted to Vaush reacting.
I'm
to
not
your
reacting to
debate.
people reacting to Vosh reacting to my debate. That would be too much, too meta. If in case anyone doesn't know, I'm not a Vosh fan anymore since the folder thing. I've done supporting him.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. In this video, we're going to watch Ben Shapiro debate a woke pro-trans student at a young American...
Everybody's calling me a pro-trans student. Oh, am I not obviously trans by the way I look? When I understand in public if you see me, if you don't think I'm trans, but like based on what I look, what I'm wearing, how I look, what I'm wearing, and the fact that I'm arguing in favor of trans rights to Ben Shapiro, I feel like it's pretty obvious that I am a transgender person. Like Devin Gibson clocked me, at least. I don't know.
Foundation event. Before I get to the video, though, big thanks to everybody who subscribed lately, who left a thumbs up on the video. Really appreciate it. And to all of you in my comment section, you guys are awesome. I've been chatting back and forth with a lot of you. I can't reply to every comment because there's been a lot lately, but I do read them all. And I learn a lot of stuff from the people in the comment section. Like, this channel is a channel about my opinion, and I do this stuff because it's topics and stuff that concern where I'm from and stuff that I'm into. So it's great to talk to other people who are into it, even if we share a difference of opinion. I live here in Thailand. They don't care about this stuff. They don't even speak English. So, I have nobody to chat about this stuff with where I live. So this is why I started this channel, and I appreciate the support, and I appreciate learning from all of you. So that's it. Just wanted to say thanks. Let's get to the video.
Ben, there was a time where the word mother exclusively described a woman in relation to her biological offspring, but our definition has since shifted to account for adoption, leaving us with a more social and less biological outlook on motherhood. My question for you is how affirming transgender identity is such a threat to biology when we have clear precedent for similar shifts in language.
Okay, so usually there is a distinction. You can call somebody mother, but then an adopted mother is not going to be insulted when you say biological mother. Right? An adopted mother is not going to say that biological mother is an inappropriate term. The trans movement claims that the term biological female is somehow offensive. The trans movement will claim that female encompasses not biology somehow. It's he those the only of actual insemination being mutually.
This guy's just gonna watch the whole debate without
neck,
saying
only
anything.
two categories.
Matters.
Okay, there
You
we
don't
go.
Shapiro just... Just like Ben Shapiro just said, the truth matters because language matters. You don't just
I
get
agree
to
with that.
change the English language or any language based on how you feel that
Here
morning,
we
and everybody else is
fucking
just
go
supposed to go along with it.
again.
Like, there's a grammatical construct when it comes to pronouns that we use properly. If it's
Yeah, we use pronouns to defer to people who exhibiting certain social characteristics.
your name, obviously, that doesn't matter. If you're a woman and you tell me that your name is Steve, I'm gonna call you Steve. That doesn't affect me one bit, not at all.
But the moment that a woman wants to be named Steve and be called he, that affects him, and it's life-changing, life-changingly evil.
Don't care. But when you start changing a language and when you start changing laws, that stuff starts to matter.
What laws are we changing?
You know what? Here's
I'm gonna
my
need an
here's my
example.
promise, okay? These fucking conservative people, if one person, even if it's stupid and shitty and makes no sense, if one person can refute your argument and sound like they're not being a complete idiot without mentioning you changing the definition of words, I will subscribe to that YouTube channel. That is my that is my fucking declaration, because holy no other arguments. It's all just fucking, oh, it's the definition of words. You can't change fucking what Webster said. Like, come on, bro. Get an original argument.
I'm gonna tweet out the video right now, or the stream.
Why couldn't any of the funny conservatives get their hands on this? It's all just like these weirdos
Really boring
who
people,
who don't have an entertaining bone in their body.
Like, you have to be grammatically correct. If, for example,
Grammar changes all the time.
everybody watching here tries
Like this is like how you know how like Amish people believe that we had like human beings have been developing technology for centuries and centuries, and the Amish people just decided around the 1800s that like we have the exact right amount of technology right now. Stop right now. Like that's what these people are doing with the grammar thing. Grammar has been changing and evolving for centuries and centuries and centuries, and now all of a sudden, right now, like why right now are we stopping? Why right now do we have to lock in so hard on what we currently have or what we had when we were children? These people have never in their lives developed an understanding of how grammar is created, where grammar comes from. It's invented by humans. It exists to serve a social utility. That social utility being describing things reasonably, just reasonably describing something to somebody. I think it's fairly reasonable to describe trans women as women to people, because when we say woman or when we describe something as womanly or describe a person as a woman, we are not describing their chromosomes usually. When you see somebody on the street walk past you and see, oh, that's a woman, you're not usually describing their chromosomes. You're not usually describing some weird, abstract biological construct. You're describing a set of social characteristics, which is why I think it's so stupid that the word woman can only refer to biology. I went on that rant during the Yinka, that guy part, but like, yeah.
describe what's going on, you say, well,
Yeah, real quick, we have this Thane257 individual in chat. They said, "I'll take you up on that. Debate me, bro." I was trying to figure out if they were talking to somebody in chat, but I think they might have been referring to what I said about subscribing to a YouTube channel that can argue against this without talking about changing the definition of the words. Which, if that's the case, then I guess sure, I will debate you, bro, if that's what you meant. I'm trying to keep track of chat here, but they've gone in their whole own direction of discussion of religion.
Demi, I think you're arguing against the straw man here, said Thane 257. What straw man am I arguing against?
in front
I'm not arguing against the straw man. I'm arguing against what these people are saying. I'm directly responding to what the channels are saying.
the camera, you would not say she's in front of the camera. You would say he's in front of the camera, because she would be grammatically incorrect. You would also say they are in front of the camera, because again, that would be grammatically incorrect. You don't get to change the language.
Calling calling individuals they is never grammatically incorrect. It can be disrespectful if somebody would prefer to not be called they. But it is not grammatically incorrect to refer to anyone as they. If your kid comes home from school and says, "I made a new friend today," and you said, "Oh, what's their name?" You don't say, "What's his or her name?" Nobody says his or her or he or she. It's completely acceptable to say they to describe a singular person, and there's no point where you have to stop saying they. It's people do that all the time. Cis people do this all the time with other cis people. To say, "Oh, what did they do?" Or like, "What are they doing right now?" In reference to one person. Typically, yeah, it's for somebody of an unspecified gender, but there's never a moment. There's never a moment where once the gender is specified, you have to stop saying they. There's no place where you have to stop.
These channels don't correctly represent conservatives, just like Voosh does not properly represent progressives. Are you a conservative guy? Do you think you're better than these grifters? Because you're probably right. It's not hard to be better than them.
Hello, Dr. Robert.
It's not
Who
a high
said
bar.
who said that they don't properly represent conservative views?
Thane 257.
Oh, well, this is okay. So that's different from a straw man. A straw man means I'm arguing against something that doesn't exist. I'd be happy to talk to a conservative about transgender issues. I've done it before. I'll do it again. But right now, I'm specifically responding to people responding to my debate, which I think I have a right to do, whether or not these people represent what the average conservative thinks. I'm not trying to claim that this is what the average conservative thinks. I'm just saying that the people who responded to my debate are being kind of stupid. I mean, these guys are all just content farming, right? Let's be real. There's nothing deep about it. I don't think these people actually put a lot of thought into this.
Fucking playlist. Holy shit.
A lot of it is just re-uploads of my debate on like YouTube Shorts and stuff, but I put everything on there.
I'm seeing some nulls in there, so you got both of the debates.
Yeah. I think this is one of the last Ben Shapiro videos, actually. We'll do Ben Shapiro first, and then nulls if we have time.
Based on the feelings of a certain individuals. If I tell all of you that my preferred prepositions, say, are behind, well, you wouldn't say that I'm behind the camera just because that's the way I want to be referred to, or I identify as somebody who stands behind things. You just wouldn't do that because it's ludicrous, and it wouldn't be...
There were major social changes that changed the way we think of the word behind and what the word behind refers to, then sure. But there aren't. And that's the difference between gender, is the terms have become obsolete. Their original definitions have become obsolete in many contexts, at least in most casual contexts. It's a dumb comparison. That's like saying like, oh, we changed the definition of mother because mother just means that you give birth to a child. And if we were to call an adopted mother a mother, that would be the same thing as calling a plant a dinosaur. It's ludicrous. Just because you could change, sometimes changing language makes sense and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes there are huge changes in our social climate that make the definitions of words different, that change the definitions of words, or rather change what a word is usually referring to, change the discernible characteristics that a word is referring to. And just because you can do that with some things doesn't mean all of a sudden that, well, now we have to change everything, or now a plant is a dinosaur, or behind is in front of. You know what I mean. I feel like I'm not doing great. I feel like I'm not doing great tonight debunking these. Kind of going on the same rant over and over again, but they're giving me so little to work with. It's just depressing.
Yeah, but we gotta find somebody with some fucking fire in their eyes.
Yeah.
And the truth matters. That's all we're saying here. I have nothing against the trans community per se. What you do in your own home is...
You have nothing against the trans community, but you do have something against when I go up and then say, hi, I have a right to exhibit the characteristics I want to, and identify as such, and use these words to describe myself. That is having something against the trans community. In fact, identifying with the gender you identify as, You know, identifying as a gender that is outside of the sex you're assigned at birth is an inherent characteristic of being trans. So you do have something against the transgender community. You can't pull that shit. I guess maybe he means he's like he believes in their freedom to do so, but he thinks that they're still wrong.
Up to you, but at the same time, you can't expect to change
Okay, that's
language
the route he's
based
going.
on such a small percentage of the
Yeah,
population. Change the
language,
language
we
that
get
we've
it.
had
Yeah.
forever, and in the last 5 minutes, now we're supposed to change it. That there's not only males and females. There's this.
Not the last 5 minutes. This has been hundreds of years. Trans people have existed. I don't have to explain that.
I mean, what is there to say here? Only women can give birth. Only females. Only biological females.
Oh my god! I said, I'm not talking about men giving birth or non-biological females giving birth. I'm talking about motherhood and adoption. I'm talking about whether or not whether or not you can be a mother without giving birth. I'm not talking about men giving birth. And he just literally watched, I guarantee you this guy just watched the debate and heard keywords. This is trans debate. We talked about pregnancy and he's like going to go, okay, men can't get pregnant. He's going to go that route. I fucking guarantee it.
Born with the female reproductive organ, females with the female chromosomes, female gametes. Those are the only people that can give birth. Those are the only people that can be mothers. You can be a parent, no problem. But a mother is a biological female. That's just the way.
Well, I didn't fucking argue that. I didn't argue against that.
Since the beginning of time. And again, you don't get to change these things based on, how you feel that morning. You woke up and you said, I'm a woman today. You don't get to change the English language. And you don't get to change how people perceive you, how you perceive yourself as a man or a woman, or how you want to go out and present in the world. That's totally fine. That's up to you. But your perception of yourself doesn't mean that everybody else has to have that same perception. Like, I think of myself as smart and handsome, but I know from my comment section that a lot of you guys out there don't feel the same way. So, yeah, you can feel a certain way about yourself, but you don't get to...
This guy just say he's not smart and handsome? By this logic, that's the conclusion you would come to.
Force other people to feel that way about you. I feel like this community needs to sit down together and just have a better plan. Because just small things that just don't make sense. I mean, there's a lot. The big things obviously don't make sense, but like how many genders can you fit on a license? You know what I mean? Like all these small little things in society matter, no matter what.
I mean, how many genders could you fit on a license? Are you talking about gender fluid people? You only put one gender on a license plate.
It has nothing to do with what you're saying.
Yeah, nothing at all.
There's one gender that Demi Gloom wants on her driver's license, and it's female. There's
Yeah.
not 1,000.
Not 1,000. And I never said men could get pregnant on here, although that is a belief that I hold. Oh my god.
Pronouns you want to use. Oh, today I'm a he, tomorrow I'm a she. Like your license, your medical cards, all these things. Like you don't get to change those every day. This stuff matters, and it matters.
I don't want to change them every day. I want to change them once.
A reason, because there's only been two types of human beings since
wait,
the
Demi, what he just said is reasonable. What point are you referring to, Than?
There's been males and there's
Stream
been
delays
females,
is a bit,
and you can bring up
we don't
intersex
know.
all you want, but intersex people, they have male or female reproductive organs. They might look a little bit more effeminate or look a little bit masculine.
Aren't there intersex people with like genitalia? There are intersex people who have both genitalia, both sets of genitalia, or neither, or an in between. What do you mean?
But at the end of the day, they fit in one of the two categories. Let's get back to it.
It's not true.
What do you think about the distinction?
It's verifiably false. I don't have to. God. See what his final thoughts are.
Sorry. This is why at these rallies or these events, you never see college professors try to debate guys like Matt Walsh or Shapiro or any of them, because their arguments, they have no substance. Like a house of cards, it just crumbles. Once you can't define the word woman, you've lost. And a lot of times the most basic questions, when they try to answer it, they just kind of wreck their whole argument that they have for themselves. Yeah, I mean, I really have nothing against the trans community. I live in Thailand.
Right, yeah. Yeah, this guy lives in Thailand.
I'm around
trans people everywhere.
We have more trans people per capita here. They call themselves ladyboys. We have more ladyboys per capita than anywhere else in the world. And I've never had an issue at all. I have great conversation with them sometimes. There's a big difference, though. There is one big difference, is that the ladyboys here, the trans people, they're happy to be trans. They don't say I'm a woman or I'm a man. They just say I'm a ladyboy, I'm trans. And if you say... because
ladyboys and trans women are different, although there's some overlap. It's kind of like drag queens and trans women. It's a different thing culturally. But yeah, I can see why this guy likes ladyboys. Is this a reaction video?
I'm going to need you to explain
Just a YouTube short. You want to see
what
the
a
Sigma
woman
male
is
edit?
without reference to the word woman.
Well, I wouldn't say it's necessarily
course I
circular to
do.
say that a woman is someone who exhibits womanhood.
Yes, it is.
And that
It's definitionally circular.
Definitionally circular.
That's like saying a hand is something that fundamentally shows handhood.
I can define womanhood for you, which is a set of characteristics associated with females, and a woman as someone who exhibits said womanhood.
Okay, well, you have just used the word female and woman to define each other. So you say a woman is a female, but not a biological female. A female is a woman, and a woman is a female.
This
but at
fucking
no point
grinds
have you
my
added any new
gears.
content.
No, I said a woman is someone
Blatantly
who exhibits
misrepresenting what I
womanhood, and
said.
womanhood is a set of characteristics.
Yes, and that doesn't mean anything. You have not defined even womanhood. You said a set of characteristics that applies to females, and then you're applying it to males. So clearly, this is nonsensical. I'm sorry that it doesn't. I'm sorry that.
Like, I don't even want to argue here. Like, if this Ben Shapiro argument resonates with you, you're just kind of dumb. You're just a little bit stupid. You're just a little
attempts
little
to
off.
form a definition into nonsense are not succeeding. But like, I can't make that fit into logic because it doesn't. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was. I think there's some more
And
Ben
one of your more
Shapiro
infamous
videos. Not watching
debates,
the
you
Vosh
said,
one.
"I'm not."
I think there's a few more Ben Shapiro videos somewhere. Or is this all Michael Knoll?
Like I'm gonna have to watch the Vouch one on my own. I just want to know what he says. I'm curious now because you're skipping over it.
Ben Shapiro destroyed in trans debate with college student. What these guys have to say?
Reminder: Ben Shapiro identifies as
Hello,
a
Ben.
libertarian.
There was a
Does
time-
he?
He identifies as a Republican, with libertarian values. I believe that's how he identifies. But he's very authoritarian. He believes pornography should be banned, transgenderism should be banned, socially eradicated, or whatever. It's not libertarian at all.
Where the word mother exclusively described a woman in relation.
Who are these people? Give them an argument with Ben Burgess. Is the title ironic? Ben Shapiro destroyed in trans debate with college student, or is this actually a left-leaning channel? Host Ben Burgess is a philosophy professor, a columnist for Jacobin magazine, and the author of a few books. He's debated right-wingers ranging from Charlie Cook to Walter Block, appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience, and been called a glib cunt by Gavin McInnes.
He's one of the funny conservatives. If only he reacted to this debate.
This guy right here?
No, Gavin McInnes.
Oh. That would be funny. Okay, so I think this is this an actual philosophy professor giving me a good, a positive review of my debate? That would be cool. I'm going to smash the like button for now.
To our biological offspring, but our definition
Preemptive like, preemptive, cautious like.
with a more social and less biological outlook on motherhood. My question for you is how affirming transgender identity is such a threat to biology when we have clear precedent for similar shifts in language.
Okay, so usually there is a distinction. You can call somebody mother, but then an adopted mother is not going to be insulted when you say biological mother. Right? An adopted mother is not going to say the biological mother is an inappropriate term. The trans movement claims that the term biological female is somehow offensive. The trans movement will claim that female encompasses not biology somehow. It's a bizarrely illogical categorization. So the trans movement is not a threat to biology. Biology is biology. People will continue to reproduce. I mean, some of us. But in any case, no implication made. But in any case, some people continue to reproduce. Those reproductive relationships will be almost entirely male or female. The only exceptions would be in vitro or artificial insemination, which would be extraordinarily tiny percentage of actual inseminations and pregnancies. So biology is not threatened. Truth is threatened. I'm not worried about biology being threatened. If you want to threaten your own biology, sort of object. The entire definition is anyone to know.
I'm not necessarily
I'm just going to play the whole
you know,
debate and then talk about it
Right.
afterward.
female.
In this category,
So,
that
5 seconds.
was handhood.
Wait a second. 45 seconds ago, wasn't his definition of mother somebody who does mothering?
Yeah. Yeah, and also he started out by saying that like you can't put certain things in you can't put different things in different categories. But then he was like, well, you know, when it comes to like adopted mothers, like it's not precisely the same. Like I understand there's like a subcategory.
Yeah, no, I mean it just seems like I mean, I know we're not quite done with this exchange yet, but I've got to say it is really funny that like when he said explain, and then this very conservative crowd like does this sort of like round of warm laughter. Look, that tells me that these people are just responding to tone and confidence and vibes. They're not responding
Yes.
to the argument, because if you're actually
Yes, if his arguments his arguments crumble if you try to analyze them at all. If you try to if you transcribe my debate, I challenge any conservative viewers to transcribe my debate with Ben Shapiro, or just really pay attention to what he says, because his logic does not hold up at all. It's just like the perceived victory there is just his confidence and charisma, which I clearly, I show up hunched over, stuttering a little bit, obviously he appears to be more so. He appears more victorious, but if you actually take apart the logic, I can personally, and obviously I'm incredibly biased because it's my argument, but I really think that I kind of tore him a new one, logically speaking. Anyways, if you're to really tear apart the logic behind both of our arguments.
paid attention to the argument, sorry, Shapiro is being destroyed right now. Right?
Thank you, Ben Burgess.
What's that?
No, go ahead.
Yo, shout out to Ben Burgess. Better Ben.
Because
Better Ben than Ben Shapiro.
He has been completely.
Yes.
Okay, this is kind of a longer. I don't think I'm gonna react to this whole thing. Yeah, this is like a 30-minute discussion. After this, I'll watch this later. Maybe we'll get Ben Burgess on a podcast. But yeah, that was.
And you're gonna have to be more specific if trying to refute us, because again, stream delay, we're not sure exactly what you're referring to.
All right, I'm
interested in Thane's perspective, but he keeps
Demi.
saying like indirect shit.
He's carried by charisma. His logic doesn't hold up at all. Sounds like Vosh, said Sonic the Centipede. Fair. I think that's true a little bit with Vosh.
Ben doesn't even have charisma. Michael Knowles does. He came off charismatic to some degree, but I don't think Ben does.
I don't think Ben doesn't have the I want to be friends with you charisma. He has the more just I'm destroying you kind of vibe. Like he has rhetorical patterns, and he carries himself in a way that makes him feel like a winner, when in fact he is a loser. Not a winner, not very winning. All right, we've been live for about an hour. Do we want to react to the Knowles stuff, or do we want to do something else?
I mean, do you have other ideas? I'm down to react to the Knowles stuff.
I want to save that for another stream. Kinda.
Okay.
I want to watch all the edits, the YouTube Shorts edits, or at least some of them.
Okay.
Every category has an endpoint.
Ben just has
if
a
there
cool
are only two
voice,
categories,
says Bell. Yeah.
It paraphrase explain what a woman is without reference
Opus
to the word
clip,
woman.
freaking watermark.
Similarly to Destiny, Destiny also is kind
There
of
are
fun.
plenty of labels
Unlike
that refer
Ben.
to concepts. This is not a new thing.
Destiny's also incredible at
Label referring to a
debate,
concept, it's a
as much as
label
they
that's
don't like
referring to
him.
the same
That's true.
word, and then
Yes,
you're
these are
applying
just
it-
AI generated clips.
The cause of gender dysphoria and this discomfort with your sex assigned at birth in these roles is.
Oh, for
God,
the
my hair
interview.
looks so bad here.
It's crazy you did that. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
Did you ever watch that whole thing?
Oh, yes, like immediately when it came out.
Hell yeah. How many views did my latest video get? Did you watch my latest video, Riley?
No, I didn't get around to it. How long was it? Like a clip from the podcast, or did you write a video essay?
I wrote a 54-second video essay about how dress codes can be transphobic. Everybody go check that out. It's a very good video.
Okay.
Um,
Do you have any future content plans that are enough finalized that you can tease them for your loyal fans that are an hour into this live stream?
For the loyal fans who are actually watching this live stream, I'll tease we have a special guest coming on my podcast, Middle School GSA. If you're unaware, I'll just pull it up on the screen here in case you guys don't know, but I'm pretty sure anyone watching this stream knows about middle school GSA. Middle school GSA. We are not middle schoolers. The name is just for fun. This is a left-wing podcast hosted by two young trans people, me and my best friend Felonious Ferris. We recently had an interview with a leftist, anarchist, police abolitionist who was also an ex-cop. That got 6,000 views.
Yo,
so pretty
tipster
well.
in chat.
Tipster in chat?
Tipsters in
Oh
chat.
shit, yo, what's up, Tipster? How you doing?
The what up, tipster?
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm teasing.
Alex Rowley, why do you think Ben Shapiro is smart? I want to know. I know you've been asking for us to respond to you. I've been kind of ignoring you for a while. What do you make Ben? Why do you think Ben Shapiro is smart?
We
Tell
should
me.
open the
I wanna
call.
know.
Does anybody who are you talking to?
Alex Rowley.
Alex
I want
Rowley?
Thane to call in. Call in, Thane.
Thane, do you want to
wanna
call into the
argue
show?
with you, and it's hard to do.
We can have a chat. I don't stream usually, Tipster. This is a rare occasion. I don't know how long the delay is. We're very verbally intelligent and a fast thinker. Fast thinker. Thane said sure. Okay.
Yeah, get him in here.
I'll
Join
put
the
a Discord link in the
Thane.
chat. Yeah. I'm putting the Discord in chat.
Do I do that? Do you have a
Wait, how do I?
Discord account?
Yeah, we're on Discord. If you weren't aware.
Cool. Well, since I know
Oh my God, load chat.
Hello. Have a good stream. Take care. That's what Tipster says. Shout out to Tipster.
Bye, Tipster. Thank you for
That's
thanks for
crazy.
popping in.
I was not expecting the Tipster cameo.
Join voice chat, and I'll drag you into recording chat. But hop in the Discord server.
Yeah, just
and
join the voice chat.
Nobody's in
You
there,
should
but
have,
I'll
like, a
drag you
call-
into the live stream chat.
You should have like a call-in waiting voice chat so that people know. Jimmy, I'm in the Discord. LOL. I'm Arcane. Oh, you're a known.
Oh,
figure.
you're Arcane? Oh shit! I didn't know you were Arcade. I thought you were a different person.
Who's Arcane? I've never heard of this individual.
I'll allow him to introduce himself. Arcane, how are you doing?
Hello there. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Hold on, let me turn you down on YouTube. Okay, there we go. I am basically just like a normal, like not super versed conservative who is, I wouldn't say immersed in the culture of like weird political debates, but I watch a lot of it and I've kind of picked through here and there between conservatives and progressives and trans activists and crazy anti-trans people, and I think I've kind of come to my own conclusion that is actually way more common than I think a lot of conservative pundits like make it seem, you know? Like I think a lot of times conservative pundits like Ben Shapiro or Matt Walsh or Michael Knowles or any other ones, they have these like poignant punch arguments that people use and can co-opt, but when you're like just in a normal conversation with conservatives, like normal conservatives, usually the arguments are way more tame and are less about like trying to get you on things like language and more about just basic intuition.
Got you.
Yeah, that's definitely fair.
Yeah, like one thing that I think this whole trans argument comes down to. Hold on, let me take a sip of water. What I think this whole trans argument comes down to is not about your identity, but rather or not your identity is a negotiation with someone else, or rather it's something that is true regardless of whether people accept it or not. Right? So like when you're young, like you're a kid, like up until the age of like what, 5 years old, maybe, like your identity is final. Whatever you need, whatever like you want, the
Wait,
people around you usually tend to you. But like once you start getting out of that,
wait, sorry. What do you mean by your identity is final?
so like how do I describe it? It's more of a parental thing. It's like your needs are tended to, whatever your view of the world is, usually is enforced. Like think like Santa Claus, like that kind of stuff. Like nobody challenges your worldview because you're a kid. You don't really know any better. And then like as you go through life, you have people start pushing
I
back
mean, I don't
against
think
you.
that's entirely synonymous with identity. It's more synonymous with a set of beliefs
Well, no,
than
but it's
identity.
it's it's more about like it's more about development. Like I think a lot of people, the point I'm trying to make is that I think the reason why you get a lot of pushback from people, especially about like pronouns or trans people's identity, is because the argument from the side of trans people is that my identity should be respected by you and by the larger society because it's my right. You know what I mean? And I think this gets down to kind of like the conversation of like consent. Because like for me personally, like if I'm talking to a trans person, if I know a trans person, or like if I meet a trans person, I'm just gonna use whatever pronouns that they want me to use because I don't really care that much. But when you start getting into the field of I have to, or you're telling me that I have to, or ostracizing me if I choose not to, well, now the conversation becomes like, do I need to consent or not? Do you get what I'm saying? It's like consent is important. It has to be a two-way street because like that's how society is set up. Your identity is a negotiation with other people, and people can choose to reject it or not. But it seems like, at least from like a social standpoint, if you reject that, then it's like a reflection of some moral failing on the part of a person. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do, I do. I have a few questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is gonna sound like a gotcha, but that's not what I'm trying to go
No, it's
for.
fine.
Um,
Gotcha, me, bro.
do you think that, like, for example,
Checkmate, atheist.
if a woman is married, you know how if a woman is not married, she goes by you would call her Miss and then her last name, say like Miss Jones. But if Miss Jones
Mhm.
gets married, you would call her Mrs. Jones. Would you consider that a social negotiation in the same way that pronouns are, or would you consider that a different thing?
Yeah, I don't think it matters at the end of the day the same way. Like, I don't think that people's like not to be disrespectful, but I don't think people's pronouns matter at the end of the day. It matters to the trans person, but I think as if you're talking about like when it comes to society, I don't
Could
think it
I say
matters if
something?
you want to reassign like a pronoun to yourself or something like that. So, yeah, I don't think that that's like I think it is a negotiation. Like I don't have to use miss or miss like depending on whether you're married or not, and I don't think most people would draw attention to that.
Would you also view it as a negotiation for me to have to respect people, or not necessarily respect people, but for me to have to engage positively with people who refuse to call me by the proper or my preferred pronouns?
No, no, that's what I'm saying. I think this all boils down to like who you want to engage with and who you don't. Like if it's people that you want to be around and people who want to be around you, then it wouldn't be a big deal for them to use your pronouns. And if you're somebody who you don't want to be around, who doesn't like you, then they'll go out of their way to not use your pronoun. But you can't really push any kind of activism to fight back against that or normalize people being polite to you because some people just won't be polite. So that's why this argument always breaks down into Ben Shapiro destroys woke, trans activists because it's not something that can be settled or argued for. No side can win. This is all about like interpersonal dynamics at the end of the day.
Yeah, I would honestly agree to some level that it's kind of like a very hard battle that's almost, if not completely, impossible to win because
Well,
there's a lot of just like
it's also a dead
inherent
end.
Well, it's
societal
like the
pushback.
religious debate because it's not like you can completely debunk religion as a concept, but you can get a pretty good idea about if it's true or not. But it's not like you will ever be able to debunk every religion ever in an
Right.
empirical way that absolutely proves that it's not true.
Right. And I think where I feel like trans activists went wrong here, really wrong here, when it came to kind of shooting themselves in the foot with this argument, is that for the longest time, like I don't know how old you guys are. Like I'm guessing
I'm
we're like in
20.
the you're 20. Okay, so there's not too much of an age
22.
gap. 22. Okay, so there's not too much of
How
an
old are
age gap.
you, if you don't mind me
I'm
asking?
I'm, I'm 26.
26. Got you.
So growing up, like I didn't grow up in a world that was completely devoid of like gay activism or gay representation or trans representation. Like that stuff existed, but it never went further than on a social level, a person to person level. Where I think in recent years the trans stuff went kind of haywire was trying to leverage law or the state to represent them the same way that the state represents like black people, because I feel like they're trying now. The argument is no longer, "Hey, can you be nice to me?" Now the argument becomes, "Okay, is being trans an immutable characteristic, like being black or being gay?" And it can't. And the thing that makes a trait immutable is that it can't change. But if you try to make legislation off of a characteristic that can change, then that legislation can't work. It's too malleable. And I think that's where suddenly this became like these two political sides butting heads, because now the burden of proof is on trans activists to determine whether or not it's an immutable characteristic, which I would argue that it's not, and it should stay as a social interperson thing and not be advocated for the same way you advocate for like black rights or gay rights, because it just doesn't fit the bill. It's not compatible,
So
and
you
it'll never
don't
be compatible.
you don't think we should have legislation concerning entire groups of people that aren't defined by immutable characteristics?
No, I think the whole point of civil rights is that like when especially when your argument is about race, like race is skin deep. Race does not affect me in any way except the melanin in my skin color. Like I'm a black guy. Like there's nothing that I can't do that a white guy can do, all other things being equal. But
And we just
tra-
lost the argument, boys. It's over.
the trans people love them, but at the end of the day, there are other mental health issues that can either be caused by gender dysphoria or cause gender dysphoria, and that changes person to person to person. So when you try to make legislation that's wide sweeping over an entire group of people, it won't work because legislation is designed to be broad strokes, not on an individual basis. Do you get what I'm saying?
What do you think about legislation regarding people who are members of terrorist organizations? Which is a
Uh,
very different, I know, but
well, that's difficult because it wasn't Tulsi Gabbard labeled like a potential terrorist risk or something like that. Like, who's deciding that? Who
yeah, it
decides
is
who's
it
a
is a gray
terrorist?
area.
It's a gray area. Like, I think that, like, even that is hard to say. I think that it's not. It's the job of
I
the
I think
government.
it really depends on the government and the country. Like I know the
That's
FBI
also
has a
true.
terrorist watch list, and I'm pretty sure there's
Right.
probably like a list. There's a list somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure aren't the Proud Boys labeled, the Proud Boys and Antifa labeled as like domestic terrorist organizations or something like that?
I wouldn't
I'm
doubt
pretty
it.
sure.
I don't think they're legally recognized as terrorist organizations right now. I think they're just it's being argued whether or not that should be the case.
Okay.
I think Trump is saying
That
he wants to make Antifa a terrorist organization, and I think some politicians on the left are saying they want to make the Proud Boys
yeah,
legally
I don't think
recognized
we
as a
should.
terrorist organization, but I don't know.
I don't think any advocacy
Would you
group,
consider the
right or
Proud
left.
Boys terroristic,
I
Danny
don't.
Bloom?
I don't know enough. Oh, you're talking to them. Sorry.
Do I
My
consider
bad.
Proud Boys terroristic? I don't know enough about the Proud
I don't know if
Boys.
that's a word.
That is a word. I don't know if the Proud Boys. I don't know. I don't know enough about the Proud Boys. I'm leaning towards no. But I think they're more militant. They're more of a militant
May I
activist group.
interject?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the Proud Boys were actually the first people to break into the Capitol on January 6th.
So I'd say there's at least some sort of element of domestic terrorism involved there.
Do you think the people who invaded the Capitol building on January 6th were committing terrorist acts?
Arguably, but I'm not that solid in that belief.
Interesting, because nobody was armed there. I don't believe. I think
Nobody.
people who are armed
What do
was
you
like
mean nobody was harmed? There was a
I
police
don't think any
officer that got
firearms.
hit in the head.
I don't
Well,
think any
there were
firearms.
firearms there. They weren't discharged, but people definitely got harmed there. Like, it was a very violent event. I don't know why we're debating January 6th right
Yeah,
now.
that. Sorry, I was just curious what you thought about that.
Oh,
But
can you
that's not the
can you
subject.
introduce yourself, guy whose name is N? Like, who are you? I don't know who you are.
No, oh, I was Alex in the chat.
Alex in the chat. Okay.
I figured as much. I meant to ask.
Yeah, to die. Basically, I just think gender as a concept is logically incoherent.
Can you can you introduce yourself, like, based where you are on the political spectrum, just vaguely, if you could just like
I don't know. It's hard to
ballpark?
know because maybe slightly right of center. Like uh, I'm not a massive fan of Trump at all, but I'm a massive hater on the Republican Party. I like the Democrat Party slightly more, but I don't like it either. Um, but I do hold a couple of conservative views. But I'm like, gay marriage is fine, and like abortion up to maybe like 18 weeks is probably fine.
Welcome to the pain of being an old school liberal in today's political climate, man.
Yeah. But yeah, anything else you need?
Demi, can I
Hello?
ask a question real quick, Demi?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why did you ask about the terrorist organization thing when I made the argument about
What's the word you use in
inalienable characteristics?
inalienable character? Is it inalienable?
Immutable. I don't
Immutable. Immutable
think it's
characteristics. I was
yeah,
just curious.
like
I was
something
just
something you cannot change no matter what. Like it's just hard coded into you.
I think
Like it's
it's
not something.
I think it's interesting that you believe that legislation should only concern groups of people with immutable characteristics, and I was wondering if I could find an example to draw a comparison to, where you support a non-immutable characteristic being a defining
Well, I'd
trait.
say the terrorist
Well, that was
analogy
the
fails
entire
because
argument
if
about.
people aren't legally considered terrorists, even if they label themselves as terrorists, people are legally considered terrorists via legislation and not self-identification.
And like that was the whole argument for gay rights was that we're not choosing to be gay. It's something that we're born with, which is true. You can't, no matter what you do, you can't make a gay person straight the same way you can't make a straight person gay. Like it doesn't work like that. It's something immutable. And the thing is that when the T was added into the LGBT, like the conversation completely changed because now it's no longer about like immutable characteristics. It's about like the fact that there even are detransitioners, like not saying that every trans person will be a detransitioner, but the fact that there even are kind of betrays the fact that it can change. Like it's too mutable.
I guess I'm
Like
curious.
if I could choose to not be black, then the black rights no longer they cease to apply to me. Like if black people could just hit a switch and turn themselves white or melanate themselves over time, then the need for civil rights kind of becomes useless. It's mute.
I guess my question is, like, what kind of civil protections are being pushed for trans people that you think are unnecessary, given that being trans isn't in?
Well, I'm pretty sure Canada with C16, I think it was like in 20, what was it, 16 or 17?
It was like 2016,
added,
yeah.
added trans identity into a protected like civil rights law, where now
There
it
was
was
a
not
Peter
only
Stone.
it was not only impolite to misgender a trans person, but it was illegal to misgender a trans person, which is crazy because like what if
Barring
what
what
if what if I
punishment?
meet a trans
Sorry.
person when I'm 25, right? When we're both 25, you know, I use the wrong pronouns, right? I refuse to pay a fine or go to jail or whatever, and I end up getting arrested. whatever penalties ensue, and then 5 years later I meet that same person and they've detransitioned. Well, now I went to jail for nothing. I was innocent. Or I paid a fine for no reason. I was innocent. Either way, it doesn't make sense. It's too.
That'd be an
weird.
interesting like monkey's paw law if it was like, okay, if you're a trans person, you can get somebody arrested for misgendering you, but if you ever detransition, then you get arrested.
Base.
I identify as transgender whenever people
Imagine
turn one on me so
detransitioning
I can
just.
get them arrested.
Oh my god. Just becomes like this constant like Ouroboros of getting arrested and let out of jail between two people because the person just keeps transitioning and detransitioning over and over
Proving
again.
his gender.
So I don't think detransitioning means that you weren't trans during the duration of your transition or
But
identifying
it
as
changes
trans.
the pronouns you use.
It does change the pronouns you use, but it doesn't change the pronouns that you did use at the time. But either way, I don't think people should be being arrested for misgendering people if that
No, I
is
don't think they
happening.
are. I don't think that's happening. I think it was
Yeah.
like a fine or something. But then again, when Jordan Peterson talked about this, because this is what made him famous about fucking C16, he's like, "What happens if I refuse to pay the fine? I go to jail." So like, even though if I misgender somebody, the FBI isn't going to come kick down my door and put me in handcuffs. But if you make me pay a fine and then on principle I refuse to pay it, then I go to jail. So the ultimate outcome is the same.
Yeah, and I think if that is the case in Canada, if that's actually written into law, I think that's incredibly silly. But I do believe in basic civil protections for trans people. Or people on the basis of their gender identity, despite trans being not an immutable characteristic. I do believe that we should be protected against discrimination in basic sense.
I agree. I think that gender identity absolutely should be something you can't discriminate against. I guess what I'm particularly referring to is that there shouldn't be like Bill C16 where the interpersonal dynamics between a trans person and someone else doesn't become moderated by the government, because I think that's weird, and it's a slippery slope.
I don't think you should have to pay a fine for calling me like a T slur, or using the T slur to describe me, or like, I think if you're telling me to like kill myself, or if you're like doing that kind of speech, then that should be something should be done about that. But I think
I got told to kill
Really?
myself just the other day. I can't really do much about that.
yeah,
Like, people say shit, but I don't think it's the job. It's the job of government to make sure that all of your basic freedoms, the freedoms that you would have whether a person was there or not, are not interfered with. So your right to the pursuit of happiness, your right to speech, your right to practice religion, like, but when it comes to anything that involves another person, like that, if the government was involved, would remove the voluntary aspect from a social situation. I morally, I can't stand against that. I stand with that. You know what I
I
mean?
would agree with you then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like most conservatives think this way. Is what I'm saying. Like, we're not all Ben Shapiro. A lot of us like have more of a nuanced take on this, and there's more common ground. But I feel like we look to pundits like Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles to like be like, this is what the conservatives are saying. You see, if you ever meet a conservative like this, this is what you say, and then like you never really meet a conservative like that. It's like I've never used a Ben Shapiro talking point, even though I've listened to hundreds and hundreds of hours of Ben Shapiro, which I regret doing because like I can't stand him anymore. But like, it doesn't mean that I think like Ben Shapiro.
Honestly, I think he's much more tolerable outside of his own podcast because he seems less ideologically captured.
Funny thing I noticed about Ben actually was I had a buddy a while back who, like, I was trying to get him to listen to a podcast I liked, and he was a conservative dummy, and he was like, okay, we'll do like a deal. You have to listen to my favorite podcast, and his favorite podcast was the fucking Ben Shapiro show.
Oh no!
So what I did was I listened to the most recent episode of the Ben Shapiro show, and it was terrible and awful and had no value at all. And then I listened to episode 1 of the Ben Shapiro show. Was kind of being a little likable. Like, I could kind of get behind it. Like, it's like the like the corporatization just made him like
Oh yeah.
even more and more insufferable.
Oh yeah, that's the same for most conservative pundits. Like when they first started off, like it was kind of like, hey, this guy's kind of speaking facts. He's pretty, moderate conservative leaning, and then like as time
Oh
goes
yeah, that's
on,
how
they
I
just
feel about Jordan
yeah, they
Peterson.
start huffing their own farts, and it just becomes like, okay, you're not as smart as
Up
you think you are.
yours, woke moralist.
Yeah, let's see who cancels who. God,
I think
I was
I think Jordan
I
Peterson and
cringed
Tim
so
Pool
hard.
are the biggest examples of that, of their
Yeah,
corporate
I
interest
dude,
enslaving
I
them.
listen. I used to listen to Jordan Peterson's like biblical podcast, not podcast, but his talks on the
Yeah,
Bible.
Hmm.
Like 12 hours of that, like it was amazing. And then like I listen to him now, and it's like, okay, you've completely been corrupted by the culture war. You're no longer taking the philosophical takes on politics like you used to be. Now you're just leaning into like, now there's no difference between you or like Ben Shapiro or Matt Walsh. Like you guys are all basically saying the same thing, and it becomes uninteresting.
yeah, the concept of the culture war has really been the death of like any value that conservative political discourse had, because it's
Yep.
just like it's all just trying to get it over on the wokies, and they all just come off as stupid and
Well, I mean,
annoying.
you guys lean into it too. I think that both progressives and conservatives lean into the culture war stuff because neither side wants to actually have a substantive.
I think a better way to put it is just ideological possession.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah,
actually
yeah, yeah.
watching a Jordan Peterson interview last night. It was one from like 5 years ago, so it's not like it was a recent one. And he was talking to her about like ideology. He was like, if you can be replaced by somebody else and they have all the exact same beliefs as you, that's not good because you're
Yeah,
just a carbon copy.
you've gone down the rabbit hole, and like you have to. That's why it's funny because like I would say around COVID time, I was very much like the type of conservative guy who would just like repeat verbatim what I heard on YouTube.
Mm,
And
yeah.
eventually that stopped working because like you start not believing what you're actually saying anymore. Like you have to question whether or not what you're saying is actually true or if you just want it to be true. And I feel like that's a metamorphosis that is happening among the conservatives, like IRL on boots on the ground conservatives. And I feel like progressives haven't gotten to that point yet, which is why it seems like they can't fathom why there are even conservatives. Like, why would anybody believe this? Why would anybody think this way? These guys are all idiots. Like, you have to be a shitty person. You have to be dumb to think this
True.
way. Well, it's because you're not actually engaging with conservatives. You're engaging with the idols of conservatism, or conservatism that most conservatives have since abandoned. Like, you have to actually. We're at this point in our culture where we have to actually talk. Like, you can't make arguments to authority anymore or strawman each other. Otherwise, like, everything's gonna go to shit.
Real quick, I just want to address the chat a little bit. We've got some detractors hanging out. One of them in particular,
What's up, detractors?
an individual by the name of Most Toast has addressed one of my points, and I would like to make a rebuttal. He says, how could there be a culture war if both sides aren't involved? Dumb. And yes, obviously, I understand that. Here's the culture war, okay? Let me describe the culture war to you as I understand it. The left the left has kind of already won. The culture war is the right trying to take it back. Like the mainstream media is ruled by the left, and the whole point of the culture war is all these right wingers are like, we're sticking it to Disney and Marvel and all of these woke companies that have succumbed to leftist discourse, and they all just come off, or most of them just come off as like completely uninteresting, just parroting the same talking points and just being completely uninteresting. That's the idea. And I know
Would you
Most Toast says
concede?
I am also uninteresting, but that's in the eye of the beholder.
Cringe.
Most liberal talking points are equally uninteresting, I gotta say.
Yeah, and Riley, really quickly, would you concede that the culture in terms of like mainstream media, entertainment, like is definitely progressive currently? Like the vast majority. Like, I mean, come on, you have to say it because like Mark Hamill is like a avid Kamala supporting.
Yeah.
Like you have to admit that almost every aspect of like mainstream culture has been basically taken over by progressivism, and
I
not
just
like.
said exactly that. That's my
Oh,
main point.
okay. I thought you were
Yeah.
saying. I thought you were saying it. I thought you were saying it sarcastically.
No. It
Okay,
is
okay.
true. And I
Okay.
even agree that like conservatives shouldn't be completely ousted out of media like they have been, because I think everybody should have a chance to have like create a creative voice and stuff. But
Wait,
like
did you guys
that's
actually watch the new Matt Walsh movie?
No.
No.
I want to. I didn't catch
Uh,
it in theaters.
thepiratebay.org, everybody.
Yeah. Maybe I'll head over to
It,
Pirate Bay. I've heard it's kind of funny. I've heard it's a little
it's
bit
really
funny.
funny, actually. Yeah.
I watched Lady Ballers and I didn't even laugh a single time. Like I watched Lady
Yeah,
Ballers
but this is
expecting
like
it to
man on the
be.
street at like DEI meetings. I think it's good. There's good potential there. I've heard of some bits that I find
I
very
think
amusing.
I think What Is a Woman sent trans activists back a bit as well, because like you can say what you want about that movie, that it's like a propaganda piece, which I would probably agree with, but like the people he was talking to were definitely real people that were not armed with the tools to counter Matt's pretty disprovable points, and they were like academics and like doctors. Like that's not a good look at all.
Uh, Sorry, could we like switch back to gender? But like, if you wanted to address some of the people in the chat still.
Is there more to address in chat, Riley?
Yeah, hold on. Sorry, I was having connection issues. Let's see. Mosto says, "Did you just say Disney won the culture war?" I mean, kind of. Disney and many other companies that are ruled over by the left. I think, yeah, the Disney has had some L's recently, but to say they are not winners might be a little bit overstretching it even still. I mean, they had a bunch of flops, but they also just had Inside Out 2, which I believe is now like the highest grossing animated film of all time or something, some similar accolade.
How was that true? Because
So
I hear nobody talking about Inside Out too.
yeah, everybody I heard talk about it. I didn't hear many people talk about it, and anybody who did said it was bad, but somehow it made a shit ton of money against all odds.
Silent
Yeah,
majority, I guess, are watching that movie.
yeah.
Yeah, silent majority called 4-year-olds are watching that movie, Demi Gloom, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like they don't go to the theater themselves. Like I know people with kids. None of them are talking
Yeah.
about the movie.
Yeah, like that Transformers movie did poorly, even though it's literally fucking Transformers.
There's a Transformers movie? I had no clue.
I didn't even know there was a new Transformers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Do you guys think the Skibbity Toilet movie is gonna do well?
I hope not. I hope it dies.
Yeah.
Oh, but Talk to is way worse, actually. I'd
Talk
much
to
rather see the skip. I'd much rather see the Skibbity toilet movie prosper than the Talk to a podcast.
I'd rather watch Talk to than a Demi Gloom live stream, I'm gonna be real. Talking about being uninteresting while being uninteresting. Oh, you mean 2 years ago, but did you say Disney won the culture war? Well, to say that the culture war is already won is pretty silly. Can't wait to watch the Acolyte season 2. Nick,
They
what's
won
up, Nick? How are you doing?
skirmishes in the culture war.
But I guess what the hell's your name again? What do I call you?
Gnomes, buddy.
Gnomes buddy?
That is all.
Why is everybody's names like censored? Oh, because I'm on
It,
streamer mode.
That's a stream mode.
Do either of you guys have issues with like woke gender ideology or like trans women identifying as
Yeah.
women? Yes.
No, not adult women. I don't care if adult trans women want to be called a woman. I think that my hard stance is that children are not developmentally able to make those decisions. Like autonomy for kids is not something that we value as a culture, so it makes no sense to suddenly do it for gender stuff, but adults can identify however they want. I really don't give a shit. Like, and if
I've
I know
always
you and
been.
you're nice to me, if I know you and you're nice to me, I'll call you whatever the hell you want. Just don't like treat me bad, and I won't treat you bad.
I mean, I've always been an advocate for some level, not complete autonomy, obviously, because they need to be kept safe. But I've always been a advocate for some level of limited autonomy for children. They're not just the property of their parents. I think they should be allowed to live their own lives to some extent. And I personally don't think it's harmful. And I'm willing to concede that maybe we shouldn't be giving them like puberty blockers or like fucking with their bodies or anything. But I
No,
think
if you give it, you give
if
it
little Jimmy wants to
puberty
be called
blockers.
little Jane, then like what's the harm?
Yeah, I don't think. Well, it depends on the age, because I think like if once you get out of like once you're in like the teens area and you start getting into puberty, I think that's a pretty decent time to do some exploratory stuff like with your gender. But when you're like 2 or 6, like it's
Yeah,
just it's
that's a
weird.
little
It,
that's fair enough, I suppose. It's hard to find where the minimum line is, but I don't think it's
mhm.
18. I think it's a lot
I
less
mean,
than that.
considering how politically bipolar teenagers are, I'm not sure I would trust them with identity.
No, because teenagers that's literally the point of being a teenager is to be that's what the emo phase is. An emo
Oh,
phase
I
and a
more
gender
meant like
phase are like
actually making um physical decisions based on
like transitioning medically. Yeah, no,
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
18 plus
no,
for me.
no medical transition for children. I've heard arguments both ways for puberty blockers. That's still a fight that needs to be fought. But in terms of like HRT or actual like gender affirming surgery, I would say no.
Well, puberty blockers in themselves, I'm pretty sure it's completely scientifically false that you can pause puberty and restart it later on. Like not in any kind of healthy way. Like you can stop puberty and stop development, but like you're gonna have to be taking hormone blockers for the rest of your life. And if you decide,
That's not true. You can get up once you get off of hormone blockers. You just have your regular puberty, and those developments happen. You don't like look like a little kid for the rest of your life.
no, that's not what I'm saying, but I'm pretty sure it does come with like really bad health issues if you forego your puberty for that long and then restart it later. There are like life altering changes that happen to your body that can fuck you up pretty good. And
I
I
don't know
feel
about
like
fuck you up pretty good. Yeah, I don't know about that. There's certain developments that won't happen with like your bone structure. Like I'm pretty sure you won't get like it'll decrease your chance. Say if you're like a male and you go on puberty blockers, you'll have it decreases your chances of getting like a Chad jawline once you do hit that puberty. But like in terms of like
And
the actual like physical health, there's like very little ramifications that puberty
okay,
blockers have.
I'll refer
And
fruit
to your
snacks
judgment on
and
that,
tips
Demi, because
don't take
I don't know a
puberty
lot about it.
blockers.
yeah, and the thing with puberty blockers is, I guess, like the way I see it is, going through taking puberty blockers will have like life changing ramifications on your physical appearance, but also not taking puberty blockers and going through puberty as somebody with gender dysphoria can create um physical changes that'll like ruin your life. Like for me, for example, like I developed extremely broad shoulders from like late middle school to early high school, and like an extremely deep voice that has basically fucked my chance of ever passing as a woman. And I feel like if I would have taken puberty blockers, I wouldn't have had that problem, and I wouldn't be and I would have a better chance at passing as a woman, and it wouldn't be as psychologically traumatic for me to walk outside and look in the mirror. And I guess the way I see it is like whether it's action or inaction, the puberty blockers thing is a decision nonetheless. Whether it's the decision to put a kid on puberty blockers or the decision to not put a kid on puberty blockers, um, I think both sides need to be considered because both of them could have disturbing ramifications. So I think it's one of those things where you need to consider both options
I guess.
thoroughly.
I guess if we were to disagree there, it wouldn't be a disagreement on like the trans person themselves. It's just an ethical issue, like
Yeah,
differences in moral value. Like for me, it's just 18 plus. It's just a hard line for me.
yeah,
I
and
can
I
understand
understand that.
why. Yeah, and I understand why you would want like it to be earlier. It's just at that point, and I think this is where a lot of people get fucked up too. Is like any debate past that point just becomes screaming at each other. It's like you just
Yeah.
have to kind of agree to disagree.
Yeah, a lot of people are are really hard up to be rational about any debates involving children. There's the rationality goes out the window at that point.
Yeah, yeah. I'm one of those people where even if you convince, even if you like quoted me like a fucking novel about how beneficial it is, I probably wouldn't agree with that. But
What if a
that's just, but
scientist wrote that novel, though?
I don't give a
What
shit.
if? Okay, okay,
Yeah, no,
fair.
it's dismissed. Like, and that's not, and that might be sound pretty extreme or like crude, but like it's just people have different moral values, and like there's some things that might be beneficial that as a culture we agree are just wrong. Like there has to be a line somewhere, you know? Like viewing things from a pragmatic or harm reduction angle sometimes opens the door to doing some ethically like gray things.
I do ethnically great things.
It's so real. Real quick, if Most Toast is still here, our ongoing debate continues. He says, just to say the culture war is already won is pretty silly. Just because you're creating things doesn't mean anyone cares. If the culture war was won, none of these projects would flop because it would mean everyone is in agreement of what the culture is. Yeah, I guess it's kind of a misnomer to say the culture war is already won. What I mean to say is the culture war exists because the liberals already have the power. They
Now,
started with the power, which is why the culture war started to happen in the way that it did. The conservatives pushing back on the liberal agenda kind of taking over mainstream media. And there have obviously there is some people who disagree with that. Some projects are going to flop, but a lot of conservative projects flop, as Ben M pointed out in the chat, like fucking Daily Wire shit. Like how much money did Lady Ballers make? I have to assume not much.
oh my
Well, it was in a
god, I
theatrical
forgot about
release.
that fucking movie. Holy crap. I completely forgot about that. That's crazy.
It was
I agree.
really
Daily
bad.
Wire is pretty cringe. Okay, I'll give you that, Most Toast. I'll give you that. But like, what are like? There are just as many failed conservative projects as there are failed liberal projects. Is my point, if not more.
Honestly, I think with the whole culture war thing, I think inevitably the culture is going to go left. I think like that's just kind of how it works. That's why it's progressivism, because it is the progression of culture. But the way I've always kind of viewed the culture war is like two people driving a car, one person giving directions and the other person steering and hitting the gas. And like I feel like those two people are now arguing and fighting instead of driving the car. So like we're progressing, we're going forward, we're going left, great, but like there's a cliff and we might need to turn the car to avoid going off a cliff. And it's like now you're fighting over the steering wheel, and that seems like what the culture war is like two groups of people that should be working together are now like fighting each other. And that's why culture seems so divided and stupid now, and why every movie seems like a propaganda piece, because like you can't concede anymore, you can't concede any ground from your viewpoint.
Yeah, I think judging media on political lines in general is very flawed. That's kind of my whole. That's my real fundamental issue with the whole culture war
Well,
thing.
a lot of
Is I've
media is politically charged, though.
That's true, and I don't even. But I would argue that it's right. Like I think it's a very valid way to handle art, where it's like you make something and you want to teach a lesson. If that lesson happens to be political, I think you're fully within your rights, and I don't think every person on the other side should freak out and cry because the thing exists. If a movie wants to give a liberal agenda and it does so in an engaging way, cool. If a movie wants to teach a conservative agenda and it does so in an engaging way, also cool. I think that media should be allowed to be what it is, and I think that everybody should just calm the fuck down.
Yeah, yeah,
That's my real
I
take.
agree. I agree. But I agree that yeah, all art is inherently political, but I think it also matters that the political thing that you're advocating for, that you're putting in your movie, isn't something dumb. Like it has to be grounded in actual reality. Like this thing has to actually be happening. It can't be like a caricature of something that happens. Like I don't know how to describe it. Like like Star Wars was very much like the prequels were very much kind of a and not like a representation of like the Bush era, like war in Afghanistan, like creating a conflict and then pulling the government to go after a certain group of people. Like I see where the political aspects of that is, but then you have like Star Wars shows like The Acolyte that are just making a silly point. You know what I mean? It's like there has to
Yeah.
be substance. It has to be substantive. It can't just be whatever political thing you think is cool at the moment or that the culture is cool with. Suddenly, it's okay to put it in a movie because that just makes people roll their eyes. It has to be something fundamental.
Yeah, that's fair. It's obviously there's bad media that like leans into the political stuff too hard, but it seems like anytime any piece of art has a political agenda of any kind, people start crying and freaking out, and that's genuinely that's generally where my issue lies. And it's usually hypocritical too, because I see a lot of conservatives will complain that all this media has a liberal agenda, and then their media that they put out obviously has a conservative agenda.
Yeah, I hate that shit. I hate that.
Um,
That's something I hate about conservative just culture in general is like the pointing fingers and then like doing the exact same thing. It's like okay, you're talking about cancel culture, but then like you're getting somebody fired from their job because they made fun of Trump almost getting assassinated. It's like, what are you doing here, guys?
Yeah, the life ruination, the getting people fired from their jobs, all bad, no matter what. I will. Maybe there are some. Maybe Demi Gloom could pitch to me a circumstance in which I'm like, okay, but 99 times out of 100, I think that job lynch mobbing is completely wrong and bad and should not happen on either
Unless you're like
side.
diddling kids or you murdered
Yeah,
someone, like
yeah, that's fair.
I
But
think
then you
you're
go to
from the
jail. I don't think
yeah
you should go after people's jobs.
yeah
You should go after people's
that's
freedom at
yeah
that point.
that's a good point. That's actually a good point. We have laws for a reason. Like if it's not in the law that somebody should like go to jail or be fined or have some kind of ramifications, then just leave them alone.
I think pedophiles, people who prey on kids in general, or people who are like online grooming, you could job lynch mob them.
Oh
Personally,
yeah.
Is online grooming not illegal?
um, technically, like
Eh,
flirting with a child isn't always illegal, especially if you're doing it with someone in another state. It's whether it's
it,
illegal or
it
not,
it's
it's
kind
very
of like
difficult to get
very
them in trouble for it.
yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. If they're literally grooming children and that you can't get them into legal problems, okay, I suppose I could concede that.
would you guys mind if we got back to the original topic because still want to say stuff regarding that.
Yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah.
What do you want to say?
Yeah.
I just feel as though there's no real reason to create a separate concept of gender than is not already embedded in sex.
Hmm?
See if this.
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, cool. So sorry, can you say that one more time?
I just feel like there's no real reason to separate gender from sex.
Why is that? I guess do you want
Because,
gone?
oh yeah, go for your reasoning behind it.
My reasoning is that usually when you refer to gender, when you call somebody a woman or call somebody a man, you're not referring to their chromosomes, nor are you referring to the genitals that they were born with. You're referring to a set of social characteristics, and usually the word man or woman highlights a set of social characteristics rather than uh, biology, and those social characteristics are things that can be exhibited by people outside of the sex that they're typically associated with. So I think that um, trans women, to make a long story short, I believe that trans women and trans men generally match our social definitions of man and woman for their respective genders, um, in terms of what we're actually referring to when we use those words. Um, in spite of them not technically matching their original biological definition. We've seen this with the term mother. I don't know if you've seen my original Ben Shapiro debate or heard that argument.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen this with the term mother. Like the word mother is a word that refers to a biological construct, which is that of giving birth to and raising a child. So mother is defined as the person who gives birth to a child and exclusively describes a biological relationship to an offspring. But over time, we've come to realize that when we say mother, oh, that's a motherly thing to do, or you are this person's mother, or functionally you're play a motherly role in this person's life. We've come to realize that that term, what we're referring to, actually has very little to do with the biology. Sometimes has very little to do with the biology, and oftentimes has to do with the social role. So, for example, we have adopted mothers and stepmothers that people are perfectly comfortable calling mothers in general, just because, again, it doesn't meet the original biological relationship definition, but it meets our general social definition that we've created over time.
I have a question.
Absolutely, go ahead.
What social characteristics are you referring to when talking about the social role of women? What are you specifically
That's the one.
referring to?
That's the thing
Besides
is
motherhood.
it's incredibly subjective, and I couldn't necessarily define like what are traits associated with females, but like typically, like say in America right now in 2024, it has to do with how people dress, certain personality traits and things like that, etc.
Could I ask, do
Oh,
you
yeah, you were here.
define gender identity separately from gender expression?
Gender identity different from gender expression.
Yes. Because the way
Um,
you're structuring your argument, you seem like they're fairly synonymous. Like you say it's a like societal conception of a set of structural like behaviors that people just exhibit, right?
I think in one way you could define gender expression and gender identity as the same thing, but in another way it depends, because sometimes gender expression means male versus female expression, and sometimes it means masculine versus feminine expression. So you could say
Well, what are the differences between those two?
masculine or feminine, masculine and feminine versus male and female.
Well, yeah, because those definitions are like the definition of masculinity is built off of male. No.
I would say male is denoting of the male sex or an identity attached to the male sex, whereas masculinity is like similar to or typically associated with the male sex.
This is such an interesting perspective to have because on one hand, yeah, I'm assuming Demi, because I don't really know, but you would probably agree that the concepts of gender is a social construct, as in gender expression is not linked to your biology at all. But then in the same argument, you're also suggesting that there are recognizable differences that are inherent to male and female that are expressed in culture that trans people want to identify with. So either there's an inherent difference between men and women, or it's just a nebulous social construct.
I think it's just a nebulous social construct overall. I do
Okay,
think it's
so
pretty incoherent
So then
overall.
what's the
I'm
use?
trying to make as much sense as possible out of it.
If it's a social construct, what's the use in just attaching that label to yourself in a way to mold your identity around that social construct?
Whether or not it makes sense, people experience gender dysphoria and attachment to their gender identity. I assume I assume you're a male,
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
assume
assuming gender.
I know, I know.
wow.
You court.
Assuming you're male, I assume you would would you take offense to somebody like calling you he or she or calling you a woman?
No,
No, you wouldn't.
but it would be kind of weird.
It'd be kind of weird. So like I experience severe discomfort when being categorized as male, being treated as male, because I simply see this social category of women and feminine people and a variety of social groups that I wish to be a participant within. And I experience severe whether it makes sense or not. Psychologically, I do experience severe discomfort, so I do see an importance in uh, validating identity.
I
So,
I
so you
remember when I
essentially
was
you
oh,
feel. Sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead, Riley. You're good.
Essentially, you feel as if you feel more at home with women than with men. Like that's where your heart leads you with is within female social groups, rather than male ones, which is the source of the discomfort when referred to as male, and disvalued as a woman.
Yeah, there's dysphoria and euphoria associated with being categorized as different genders. And I experienced euphoria when being categorized as a woman and dysphoria when being categorized as a male. And whether or not that makes sense, it is a real thing. It
It
is a
does
real
make
pain that a
sense.
lot of people, it is a real pain that a lot of people experience. And I see a
Yeah.
utility in validating people's gender identities.
The first trans
So
person that I ever met.
would you
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'll hold it.
so would you argue that if somebody was like they had gender dysphoria in their teenage years or something, would you argue that it's better to successfully get them to what would you say, accept their gender as biologically attached to them just generally? Or would you say it would be better to affirm the identity that is giving them dysphoria towards their current one?
Mm, that actually brings up another good question, actually. But I'll wait till after Demi answers that one.
I would say it's up to the individual, whichever they can find the most happiness and comfort in. There are people who do experience like certain amounts of gender dysphoria who do not find comfort in a gender transition and instead address their gender dysphoria by expressing themselves in different ways, which I think is fine. But generally speaking, most people with gender dysphoria experience a desire to transition. And I think that most people with gender dysphoria are happier as trans people than as cis people who are internalizing their gender struggles. But again, it's up to the individual person. I think it's nobody knows better. Nobody knows what's better for someone than themselves, so long as they're aware of all of their options and what they would bring them.
Would
So that
you argue
so
that with somebody who is bipolar, seeing a therapist, would you say the therapist doesn't know better than the person
You're
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 themselves?
really
muffled.
muffled, buddy.
Yeah,
You're
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 having
really
trouble
really
hearing
muffled.
muffled.
you.
Oh wait, is that better? Hold on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
way
way
better.
better.
Yes.
Okay, so if somebody was like mentally ill and seeing a therapist, would you make that same argument? Because a therapist would be giving them advice, but you say that the person themselves knows the best.
No, I don't think I don't think the person themselves knows what's best for everything. I just think in terms of gender, I
Mhm.
just think in terms of how to address gender dysphoria. Once you become aware of all of your options, I do believe that people have the right to make the decision for themselves.
So let me ask you this, Demi.
Absolutely.
It's the year 2036. We've studied gender dysphoria. We've learned about it. Technology has, you know, improved and progressed. There is now a pill that you can get right now that will alleviate gender dysphoria entirely, but it does so by bringing your physical, biological, or your mind in line with your physical, biological sex. So it would be almost like it would fix the issue, if that makes sense. Like you would,
Yeah.
you know, would you do you find that as something that's worth investing in, or do you think it's better for society to progress in such a way where it doesn't matter and you can just accept your gender expression, or would you rather just take a pill and alleviate it?
I think that would again be up to the individual if they would be happier transitioning. Because some people can be happy transitioning pretty easily, even if they don't pass. You know what I mean? Like people like me, and then other people just really want the dysphoria to be gone, and aren't particularly invested in their own gender identity necessarily. So like I would be okay with the development of that technology. I just don't think it's I just haven't seen any evidence that that's possible. Obviously, I
No.
know it's a bizarre hypothetical, but like
Yeah,
if that were
it's
real,
super
then I would be
weird.
fine with it. Yeah.
I was just curious because one issue that I find sometimes when I debate trans activists or trans people is that they don't think that gender dysphoria is a problem or that it's something that people actually suffer from. they like if you categorize gender dysphoria as like a mental health issue, they treat you like you're an asshole. So I guess I wanted to just gauge, like, do you see it as something that could potentially be fixed through medical intervention? The same way like there's like cures or medicines that mitigate like ADD and schizophrenia, and not saying that gender dysphoria is on that same ballpark, but there is a mental imbalance going on here that might be fixed through medical intervention some point in the future.
Yeah, well, gender dysphoria is defined as like I believe the clinically relevant discomfort with your sex assigned at birth, or the way you present yourself gender wise, or the way your gender identity is perceived by others. Whatever it is, it's the clinically relevant, clinically disturbing level of that. And all research has pointed to that. Is that transitioning and being able to fix your presentation is like the best medicine for that. But like if there were and if there is chemical intervention that can be done, general like antidepressants and medications that combat like rumination and panic and other things associated with gender dysphoria. Essentially, gender dysphoria is a combination of symptoms that we already know how to treat. But the problem is the root of the root of these conditions does come from your gender expression. So I don't see a treatment that addresses it unless you're addressing the gender expression itself.
Well, how long has there really been this push to, like, how long has that study been going for, that experiment been going for? Because I'm pretty sure it hasn't been like any more than maybe 2 generations that like we've been kind of transitioning people and observing their mental health. So I guess like would you say that transitioning is objectively the best course of medicine, or would you say that like there could be something else that might do the job more effectively? Like morphine would be a great, way to help a toothache, but it probably isn't the best because there are other issues with taking morphine constantly.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is like, do you feel that the culture right now, with how volatile the conversation around trans issues has become, do you feel like the culture is in such a way where we're actually asking those questions, or do you feel like for the foreseeable future we're just going to let like just transition? That's the best way to do it right now, but like there are other options that just aren't being explored because as a culture we've just accepted that transitioning is the best?
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to explore other options. It's just I have a hard time believing that anything will top transitioning, given that again, it's a set of symptoms. Gender dysphoria is a set of symptoms that we already do know how to treat, and we can treat them. But the root condition is it definitively or definitionally the root condition is your gender expression. So I guess I don't know how we would address that without addressing the gender expression. But like, yeah, hypothetically, if there were another treatment for it, I would be willing to explore it. I'm just having a hard time believing it exists.
Okay, because it's my opinion that I think the culture right now is just too, like, not even the culture, just like the medical profession, the way that it's being handled is very much not, it's not a good environment for exploring that avenue or doing like actual good clinical research, because it's become almost culturally indefensible or like inappropriate to say that it is a problem that needs to be fixed.
I don't
It
think
seems like
that's
it's
I don't think that's the case. I think it's just that I think also people confuse gender dysphoria with a mismatch between your gender identity and your sex assigned at birth. Those things are not the same thing.
oh,
And
oh, interesting.
gender
I,
dysphoria is a clinically relevant distress related to your gender identity, whereas a mismatch of your gender identity and your sex assigned at birth is that's just being trans, basically. You could be transgender and you can transition, um, and have your dysphoria completely. It's possible for you to completely alleviate your dysphoria and your discomfort with your sex assigned at birth if you're happy with the results of your transition. Unfortunately, most people aren't entirely happy with the results of their transition, not because they regret the transition itself or because they want to go back, but more so because transitioning often it's just difficult. It's difficult to go from a man from being seen by the world as a man to being seen by the world as a woman or vice versa. With the little medical intervention that we have available.
Especially when you're barred from medical intervention until after your puberty has basically solidified your body shape and your voice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
I just want to like clarify that I don't really have a problem with people who like effeminate men or masculine women or anything.
You're muffled again,
For
bro.
people who want, oh shoot, yeah, I'm laying back and my microphone is on the back of my headphones, so I need to sit up whenever I want to talk. So yeah, I was saying I don't really have a problem with masculine women or effeminate men or anything, or like addressing people by their preferred pronouns, unless it's like something extremely weird like dragon self. But I think I see the issue in expanding the concept of gender to something so categorically abstract that it's basically just extremely malleable, just and hardly even applicable to anything tangible in reality. For example, being like pangender. That could mean you're like androgynous or something. I'm not completely sure. Because somebody could identify as like pangender and exclusively exhibit like masculine or feminine traits and not even any sort of crossover between the two. And that would be still considered a valid gender identity. Even though I feel like the concept of being pangender is like categorically contradictory if you were supposedly multiple genders at once, even though these genders are associated with masculine or feminine traits, which are contradictory in some ways. So could it's weird that you are identifying in two categorically contradictory ways at the same time.
And I have to
Well,
collect the 7 magic genders to get a wish, okay? It's a very
I do also think in recent years, like the trans community in general has done a better job of like kind of not giving a megaphone to people who are clearly like trolling when it comes to gender identity. Like like wolf or fox gendered people are pretty much laughed at by both sides of the aisle, and it's kind of kept it more reasonable. But yeah, I think there does need to be a standard. Like my personal motto is like there are three genders. There's man, woman, and then neither. But like once you get out of that category, you start getting into like the neo pronouns or like making up other stuff. Like I can't reasonably interact with you anymore.
I forget. I know Demi to shamelessly plug Demi's stuff on her own stream. They did an episode, Demi and Ferris's podcast about neo pronouns. I forget which side you were on, Demi Gloom, because it's been a long time. Were you the one who was fighting for the frog selves and such?
I was just because like my take on it is essentially it's I think people have a right to view gender as a very abstract thing and describe their place on the in that male, female, or neither category. Use whatever like really silly, ridiculous thing they want to describe their in between place.
I think
But
that
I
does. Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were not finished. Go ahead.
no problem. But I also I understand that people see it as silly and harmful. Like I get that.
I think it also kind of messes with your ultimate objective. Because if your ultimate objective is to be respected as a woman, then you have to make sure that there's a level of respect to being trans.
So may I ask, do you think it's valid for people to say stuff that way? Or like you think it's valid for people to identify that way? Yeah.
Are we debating?
Kinda.
So
Hello
do you
there.
think
Why Squeebo
People are
here?
obligated to not find stuff silly.
So I think to respond to what Arcane said, like there was a time where non-binary people in general, people who are on the neither side of the male female spectrum, or in the in between, there was a time and place where that was seen as completely ridiculous, and if you supported non-binary people, you were making all the other trans people look ridiculous. But I was never willing to, um, kick down my non-binary siblings, I guess, kick down my friends, my sorry, my non-binary loved ones, just for the sake of my own social advancement. And I feel the same way about respectability politics in general and how it applies to neopronouns. Like, I'm not gonna sacrifice people in order for my own advancement in terms of social movement. I'm gonna state my actual opinions on things.
Yeah, I
but
feel
also,
like
but I'm also
well,
willing
we all
to.
went at the same time.
I was gonna say, but
Oh
I'm
my
also
goodness.
willing to acknowledge that like it is silly. Like I understand
Right,
that.
and I guess that's my biggest thing is like there has to be a level of standard because like when it comes to advocating for any group to be taken seriously in society, there has to be a standard. Like for me as a black guy, if I want to advocate for black rights, right, I'm not going to stand alongside a white dude in blackface because that's just that's you're not part of this movement. Like there has to be a line. Like even if the line is drawn back very far, but like you can't, or I guess you could. I guess why would you
That would be pretty
want
funny.
that? But why would you want people who are like dear gender to be advocating alongside you? That seems counterintuitive to your ultimate goal.
Yeah, I mean, how I feel about it is like with the dear gender and the stuff, like the neopronouns in general. It's kind of a case of like being goal focused and not muddying the waters, where it's like, okay, maybe we can convince some more people of the transgenders and the non-binaries, but like once we get into like frog selves and deerkin, it's kind of hard.
It's so hard.
The which at one point I had to bring up about that kind of like destroys the whole thing. Frogs, deers, cats, they have their own gender.
Right.
They themselves are not a gender.
I don't think people are saying that they're a
Well, it's
literal
literally
gender. It's just people being. It's just mostly people being funny.
your identity.
I think it's also people who want to co-opt like the sense of pride that. Well, I shouldn't say that because I actually don't know anything about being
I
trans.
don't know.
But
To me, a lot of it just seems like attention seeking, personally.
it could honestly be that. I think it's also like they want to be respected the same way or talked about the same way that like trans people are talked about. And I do actually
That's
respect.
kind of attention seeking,
I do, but I will say I respect the angle that Demi's taking because she's basically saying that like she's being morally consistent because like you if you want to be accepted, you have to be accepting. So there's like a moral through line there that I respect. I don't agree with it, but I get it and I respect it.
I mean, like, would you apply that same standard to like anybody though? Because not everybody should be socially accepted, right?
No, I don't think everybody should be socially accepted. That would be ridiculous. But
That's
it's
what
And it
it's
should be based on
So
gender
do you?
identity. though.
Okay, what if somebody like identified as racist gender or something?
racist gender.
I'm changing my pronouns right now on Twitter to racist
Holy
gender.
shit.
Yeah, I would have a problem with
Nice,
that.
nice.
Obviously,
Also, that is an interesting topic to bring up when in terms of like labeling what's gender and what's not. What is the origin of the term gender, Demi?
I don't know the origin of the term gender. It's just
Yeah,
come from a Greek
etymology
word.
is weird.
Is this a
Okay.
setup
Like,
question, or are you
No,
genuinely?
no.
It's
So
like that Charlie Kirk thing. It's like, what does
No.
fetus mean in Latin?
It means little human smiles demonically. I say this because I've actually heard. I asked that because I've actually heard an interesting story about where the term was coined, like by a
I
guy
don't
named
honestly
Sean
think
Young.
etymology is relevant.
Well, I mean, it kind of does matter because it seems like it seems like the arguments that some trans people make is that it's a natural evolution of language and culture to include gender in the conversation. But like, and I could be completely wrong. This could be like some Alex Jones fucking conspiracy theory bullshit. But like, I've seen that it's like it was coined by a guy named John Money, who like ran an experiment on two little boys where he like.
Oh, you
cut
mean
the dick off of one-
transgender?
Yeah, like gender, like the coin gender itself, like the term itself.
I'm pretty
Like
sure.
where the-
No,
where the
that's the.
origin-
I'm pretty sure that's where the term transgender came from. And this was like, I think you're
John
talking
Money
about a.
sounds like the
No,
name of
Demi,
some anonymous capitalist.
he is partially correct. So, sexologist John Money in 1955, the controversial and innovative sexologist John Money first used the term
Google,
gender in a way
Wikipedia.
that we all know, that we all now take for granted. UBC Press.
Yeah, and
Or
if-
John
okay.
Money
Wait,
is
people
a
didn't say it.
sounding name.
People didn't
If
say
you-
the word gender before the 50s?
No, it's a new thing. It's very.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and apparently the experiment had to do with two boys, one of which was castrated as a child and then raised as a girl by his parents to see if his new gender identity would take if he was just treated as a girl, told that he was a girl, never really knew that he was a boy. And like it got really dark, like really quickly.
Oh yeah, didn't he commit suicide?
They both the siblings did.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah, no,
heard
you
that
can't, you
used.
can't fuck with.
According to
hormones.
Webster, the word gender was
That's
first
not helping
recorded.
the allegations.
The
man.
word gender
Yeah,
was
yeah.
first recorded in Middle English in the 14th century. It comes from the
I'm
Latin
looking more
word
into it.
genus, which means kind, type, or sort. It also comes from the Proto-Indo-European root gen, which means to beget.
But the
So-
but in
It
the
looks
terms
like
of like how it was
John Money
used.
coined the term gender role.
Gender role. Okay.
Yeah.
So like
But-
how the context
It's
around
still
like
something to consider, but
it's just the reason why like that
Call me
matters
money
at
the
all
way
is because
John
like
John.
I guess the reason why it matters is because if we are gonna have an argument about language or how language changes, the origin of words do play a part. Actually, the origins of
No,
everything.
I
play a part in how
disagree.
they
I
use it.
think current etymological definitions are what most matters because it's in essence linguistic because like we are only arguing things based off of already established terms, you know? Like we don't need to look at where it came from. You know, we just already have our current definitions and what we're going to argue with surrounding that.
okay. So I found something pretty interesting about John Money. So he was a big advocate for the normalization of the genitals of intersex children, and for
Wait, what does he mean normalization?
so like if
yeah,
you're
this
born
should
with
happen all the time.
Advocating for children's genitals already puts you on the back foot, in my opinion.
No, so okay, in like all of modern history, if a child is born intersex, we decide that there's something wrong with them. There's I'll have to look up the specific amount, but I'm willing to bet that there's thousands of procedures done on intersex children because we see their anatomy is wrong, something outside of the binary, which is something that's mostly pushed by heteronormative standards. And I like
Is it not true?
What does that mean, heteronormative? I hear that all the time. I don't know what it means.
yeah, so
Wait,
heteronormative
isn't heteronormative a literally like contradictory definition? Hetero means opposite, and normative means like standard.
That is actually. I think he's nitpicking, but that is a funny point to bring up.
Yeah.
Hetero and normative are technically opposites. But seriously, I don't know what that is. That like the social acceptance of like heterosexual relationships over gay relationships?
yeah, pretty much.
Wouldn't that just be like intuition? Like is that a bad thing, or is it like something that needs to be like corrected, or is that something that's just like
I don't think
we're
it's
just we're just
something
giving
that
a
needs-
name to something?
I think it's the
It's kind of
general
getting-
lack of acknowledgement or consideration for non-heterosexuality
Yeah.
in society.
So like if your teacher says like, "Oh, I got married this weekend," in your brain, you just
Yeah, okay.
automatically think of, "Oh, my female teacher just married her husband." And then when
I don't see the
to a lot of
problem with
people,
that,
if they
That's
say,
not a, yeah,
"Yeah,
it's not
so
an
me and
inherently
It's
bad thing.
not. I know where they're going with this. In other words, like you hear your teacher got married, you're like, yay, you think she has a husband, and then when she
Yeah.
walked in with her girlfriend, you kind of repulse a bit.
wife,
Yeah.
hey, come on,
Well,
we just
oh,
established this."
well, no, not married yet. Not married yet. Getting married.
They married on the weekend.
I don't know. But yeah, I see what you're
That's
saying.
good. That's good.
Because it's relevant to this discussion, I just wanted to clarify something with Gnome's body real quick because I disconnected right at a pivotal moment. Did you say you had a conservative view on gay marriage, as in you were against it, or was it the opposite? I disconnected right
I'm
before I
fine
could
with
ask
gay
you to
marriage.
elaborate. Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
Gnome's body. What's your most based red pill take?
My most
Ooh.
based red pill take. Ooh.
You don't have to answer.
I don't know. I'm fairly against economic intervention. I guess I'm a capitalist, you could say.
Ooh, scary. Shiver me
Wait, can you
timbers.
elaborate? Economic intervention by the government or
Yes.
by corporation?
Oh
Okay.
boy, here's
Corporations don't
fucking wood.
intervene in the economy. Corporations run the economy.
Oh boy, here's fucking Wood Cole Castle. If you this ugly opinion shouldn't be allowed. Very funny guy.
But what I mean
Same-sex
by
marriage ain't
capitalism is
real. Shut up,
minimal
bro.
government intervention in the economy and advocacy for free markets.
Fair enough.
Bro doesn't know how to
Free the
speak out
market,
loud.
let her live. Wait, what?
I'm just talking about the guy in chat saying
Uh,
ugly people shouldn't have opinions.
Real, kill them all. Eugenics.
Wow. Just get rid of him. Who needs him?
Anyway, I think we're talking about genders.
I don't know, man. Ugly people can have
Something like that.
handsome babies. Hang on.
That's
Wait,
true.
don't clip that. Don't clip that.
I mean, ugly people, they
Handsome
can have
babies.
opinions,
Wow,
Man,
but
those
like,
Shapiro.
babies
why
are
should we
handsome.
consider them?
Wait, what did you say?
Like, ugly people, they can have opinions, but why are they worth considering, you know? Like, they're ugly. Like,
Hey, I have plenty of good opinions. I'll let you know. Plenty of good
It's an
takes.
ugly riots.
Ugly right.
She
ugly,
looked like
right?
a lamp, but harder to stare at. What do you mean
You
by
know,
she
it
looked
is
like a
funny.
lamp?
I do find it
Do I
funny
look like
that
a
we
lamp?
don't.
That's what this guy says.
Oh, does my hair look like a lampshade? Like,
Oh shit, maybe that's what he means.
Why is Debbie getting roasted?
no, please.
That's
I want this to be the
what the
roast
chat
of
has been this
Deme.
whole time. Just a bunch of like weirdo detractors
Oh,
popping in. I liked Most Toast. He was he has some bad opinions, but he was willing to discuss them. Even he came off at first like he was being like fucking too good for us, and then he engaged. So shout out to Most Toast. But
Also,
Wood Cole Castle seems like a pretty stone cold asshole to me so far.
someone
Well, they
got
called
mad
me a
at me for
lady.
that
They just
because I
called me a
like
lady.
that.
So said this lady looks like a 1-year-old drawing. True.
damn.
No, I do. When I have like the goofy like generic like disguise glasses, and then I have a bob that like covers like half of my face. So,
The
like
Where's
really,
Waldo glasses.
yeah. So like I look like an Avatar creator character. Like I cover like the majority of my face. So like my defining characteristics are like hairstyles and or my hairstyle and my glasses, which does make me very
Somebody
easy to
in
draw.
chat.
And very marketable.
Very marketable.
We got to make a
Someone in
marketable
chat
Demi
earlier
Gloom
got
plushie
mad at me.
immediately.
Somebody draw Demi in CalArt style.
Hey yo, Demi Gloom Universe, new Cartoon Network show.
With like the weird mouth that's like all
Sorry.
teeth.
Oh, my teeth look so
Yes.
yellow in here. On this camera.
You look like Sam Hyde if he liked Jews. What do you mean, bro?
No way.
That's a good one. I do kind of look like Sam Hyde too. And in that one video,
I like that your opinion of Jews dictates your appearance.
Your appearance.
Absolutely,
It's true, though.
absolutely. There's a reason why Ben Shapiro looks the way he does now than before. Like the more pro Israel you get, the more unhinged you look.
Unhinged
Yeah,
Demi
somebody
Gloom.
in chat. Okay. Somebody in chat earlier was getting mad at me because I like Destiny. How do you guys feel about him?
Oh, yeah, I see.
I
You
don't.
two fell into the conservative pundit to Destiny pipeline.
Every
I've
now and then he
engaged
takes
with.
his meds and has good takes, and then, you know.
I thought he was cool. My problem with Destiny is like he kind of chameleoned into conservative circles and started kind of courting a conservative argument by seeming way more cordial and kind than he actually was. And then once that Trump assassination happened, he went mask off. And
Yeah.
the very thing that attracted me to his viewpoint was blown up. Like he pretends as if he wants to find a middle ground and actually talk to people and learn about, like, educate people, but it's not. He just thinks that everyone he's talking to is dumber than him and morally compromised, and he's in an effort to just prove that you're wrong. And it's like he made that very clear with the Trump assassination thing. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you're basically burning a decent chunk of your audience who is actually that you might have been able to bring to your side. But now everything Destiny says, I'm going to take with a grain of salt because now I know what kind of person you actually are.
Well,
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
think
way
you
out
should
of
just
line.
automatically dismiss that something that somebody says, even though it's coming from a biased place, because being biased doesn't automatically make you wrong now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
no,
it's like the
that's
standard for the standard that Destiny holds for what you can and can't do seems arbitrary. It seems like he doesn't hold his side to any kind of account at all.
What do you mean?
Like Vosh and Hassan are just like objectively
Oh,
awful people.
add me to this convo. I mean, I think call is open. We'll see if Demigloom denies you for your meanness.
no, Destiny
Wood Coley
hates
Castle.
Vosh and Hassan. Like, Destiny hates on
He
Hassan
does.
all the time.
Destiny
But he
created
doesn't
Vosh
seem
and
to.
Hassan too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
another thing. Like, what kind of
Should we get
person is
Wolf Cole
Destiny
Castle in
actually
here,
that
Demi?
would
Yeah.
spawn two of like the worst human beings on the planet?
Link to the
I'll get
Discord
an
servers in
invite.
chat. Hop in the call in, and then I'll drag you into the recording
Guys,
chat.
actually, the Houthi pirate is like Anne Frank.
Yeah, hop into the voice chat and then we'll drag you into the
I think
stream
the
chat. Oh,
objectively
this call
Jimmy,
in
we should
now.
just make a stage channel, so people can listen in real time.
that would be cool.
Also, just makes
I'm
it's
gonna
easier
head
to make
out.
people speakers.
I think the objectively
really.
best conservative not conservative political commentator on YouTube is Short Fat Otaku. I think
Oh my
every single one of
God.
his takes is W. I changed my mind.
He made a video defending Negative XP, who is like a neo-Nazi punk rock musician. Sent like
Everyone's
hundreds of people to harass me.
Also, known coward. Wouldn't debate
Everyone's a
Demigloom.
neo-Nazi now.
Okay, I'm gonna head out.
Okay.
Oh, all right, see you, bro.
No,
Peace
like
out.
Negative XP is like an actual incel neo-Nazi who like puts like swastikas on his album covers and like very pro Axis powers in World War II.
Oh, so you mean so not a Vush Nazi, an actual
No,
Nazi?
like an actual, yeah, like Negative XP is an actual Nazi.
Oh, interesting.
Not just like everyone I disagree with is a Nazi.
Can you send me that? Because I'm actually curious. Because I'm surprised that Short Fat Otaku would even associate himself.
It's more hidden.
I wasn't aware until I met Demi.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Literally the first thing that Demi said to me when we first met each other was like, "Aren't you a Negative XP fan?" And I was like, "Yeah, what? I mean, kind of. I listen to his music sometimes."
You know, I sometimes wonder about like the cultural, like, oh god, this is gonna sound so bad. Don't clip this. Whoever's in charge of clipping, don't clip. But I sometimes wonder about the negative social stigma around Nazi imagery and aligning yourself with Nazi ideations when people pretty openly and belligerently, however you say that word, align themselves with like Soviet imagery and like communist ideology. Like I remember like a family member of mine works at a library, and there's this one pretty upper level, upper crust employee who works in the offices, and he just has like the Soviet star tattooed on his arm, like clear for everyone to see. And like I think to myself in the back of my head, if that was a Nazi swastika, you would not have this job. Like I feel like the cult, like we're very educated over why the Nazis were bad, but I feel like there's still a lot of gray zone as to why the Soviets were good, or why the Soviets were bad, even though they were just as bad as the Nazis.
Freudian slip, maybe, folks.
So my
I'm
mom
not, no, I'm not a.
is
This,
Ukrainian.
this is an
We're
Alex
going back
Jones
to the
clip.
Red Scare, folks. This is a secret communist we're talking to.
You know that Alex Jones clips where he's like, "You son of a bitch, you piece of shit." Wasn't that in response to somebody calling him a communist?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure that was.
Squeebo, did you see the chat? Someone said, "I look like Sam Hyde if he liked Jews." Were you here for that?
I
We
literally
talked about
commented
that.
on that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm stupid.
Exposed himself as a commie. Yeah, true. Freudian
Oh,
slip.
So go on, Squeebo.
Shit, dude.
I was arguing with somebody in the comments of an Instagram post because I'm very, very smart. I know. Anyways, they fully admitted to believing that Nick Fuentes is to the left of Kamala because Nick Fuentes supports an arms embargo to Israel.
Wait,
And that kind of solidified horseshoe theory in my mind. I know horseshoe theory is kind of bullshit because
wait.
like they weren't
I'm
really
sorry. You
Yeah.
have to. Who said that Nick fucking Fuentes is to the left of
Just
Kamala?
some fucking weirdo communist on Instagram.
Dude. Have you
Nobody significant.
have you ever actually heard Nick Fuentes talk?
Yes.
Yeah.
That,
Couple times.
Oh my gosh, this man will look you dead in the eye and start bringing up the fucking warrior gene, like unironically. I cannot stand that dude. Like the fact that people can actually like agree with him is very strange. Like I think he definitely has the right to talk, and I wish he wasn't so deplatformed so that everybody could bully him. But like, dude has some wild takes. That's
Yeah,
another guy that Destiny platformed and debated with.
I think Destiny's debate, the one debate with Nick Fuentes where they like go and get lunch and like they hang out IRL.
I don't think I've seen that one. No,
I thought that was pretty good content. I'm not a Destiny fan.
I didn't know he debated him in that context. I only knew of when he debated him like on the kill stream with Dick and Ralph and uploaded the clip.
No, he Nick Fuentes was on a number of Destiny podcasts and videos and debates. Like I think there was even we lived in a timeline where Destiny, Sneeko, and Nick Fuentes were all in the same call together.
Oh
Char
boy,
says
Wood
hi,
Pulley
Demiglin.
Cattle
Hello,
is a
Char. How are you
fucking
doing?
warrior gene guy. I'm very excited if he can actually install Discord for him to tell us
Oh, yeah,
about the
sure.
fucking warrior gene.
Wait, did somebody in chat talk about the warrior gene?
Yeah, Wood Coley, our friend Wood Coley Cattle said, "Of course, these dorks don't know about the warrior gene."
No, fuck, get this man in here right fucking now.
Get in here,
Oh my
hop in
God.
chat, get in chat.
I'm not even gonna
He's
debate him. I just
installing
wanna-
Discord. He doesn't have Discord, but I hope he figures it out because I want to
don't
talk
e-
to this guy.
I don't even want to contest him. I just want him to say it. I want him to explain
I just want to know.
because
I just want to
be.
know.
Explain
It's so
it.
goofy.
I
Dude,
can't
it's so
believe that fucking Nick Fuentes and Donald Trump had lunch or dinner together during Trump's campaign, and like nobody talks about it.
There was a time where Nick Fuentes wasn't.
Well, he
so
was there for
blatant about
Kanye
his
West.
views. Yeah, there was a time when Nick
Yeah.
Fuentes was a little more undercover. That's
Not
when
in
at the time
2022.
happened.
Not in 2020. That was
No.
2023.
Maybe.
No, it was 2022.
No, that was
Maybe, but-
2023. I'm positive.
It was
You know,
Demi Politico, November 25th, 2022.
I mean, okay, maybe this is cope, but like I don't think that Trump, who when he was on Elon Musk's Twitter sit down, looked at the number of views on the tweet and thought that that was how many people were actually listening, I was like, oh, it looks like you have 60 million people listening right now, even though in reality it was like maybe like a couple thousand people that were listening. Like, he doesn't know how Twitter works. He doesn't really know how social media works, except like
No.
how to tweet. I don't think he knew the deep nuances about Nick Fuentes' views. I think Nick Fuentes just told him about his views, his stance on immigration and the border, and Trump just kind of like
Well,
ran
yeah,
with it because he
probably.
was
I
like,
I
oh yeah,
doubt.
this guy's an influencer. He's a YouTube guy, so we're gonna sit down with him. We're gonna talk. I really don't think it was any kind of
No, I
like
agree. I doubt Trump was
mustache
staying up late
twirling,
watching Nick Fuentes
yeah.
streams, but like I'm just surprised that like nobody talks about that anymore.
Yeah.
Like not
Yeah.
really.
Well, nobody talks about Nick Fuentes anymore, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go run to the
honestly, Nick
bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. I'll
Fuentes made
keep
a
the stream
mistake by
going.
hanging around with Kanye, because like nothing anti-Semitic Nick Fuentes will ever say in his entire life will compare to the Jewish doctor bit. That was the funniest anti-Semitic
That
thing
was
ever
so
said.
great. That was so
I'm not
great.
gonna tell you what kind
I'm
of
not gonna-
doctor it was. It was a Jewish doctor.
Which is funny because the amount of anti-Semitism that I saw coming from progressives and the left when this whole Gaza thing broke out really it took me aback.
Yeah,
Like
it was pretty
that
bad.
was crazy, and like I never in my life would have assumed that progressives would ever start spewing anti-Semitic stuff, but I guess that I guess like there had been kind of like a buildup of resentment against white and white adjacent groups, so like Asians and Jews would fall in that category, and I feel
I
like
mean,
nobody
a lot
really
of Jews
talked
are
about
white.
it.
I think
mean,
it's
yeah,
more. I think it's more been the rise of anti-Semitism has in the left has been more of a inability to divide, inability of people's brains who are flawed in their understanding to divide the Jewish people as a whole with the population of Israel. And people who are very, very free Palestine end up conflating all Jews with Israel, which is obviously problematic and not correct.
that's really bad. It's the same way you don't want to confuse like Palestinian citizens with like Hamas
With
or
Hamas, yeah, exactly. This is a divide that a bunch of people seem to have problem making on both sides, and it's like the citizenship and the government is very different, and the classification of people and the nation is very different.
I don't know how off the rails Demi wants this conversation to go, but like the
She's not
whole
here. You can say whatever you want.
this is true. This is true. I've been uncensored. No
When the
moderators
teacher's
here. No
away, the
moderators in
students will
chat.
play. Say whatever you want.
Exactly. I think this whole like Gaza situation, I think people are choosing a side when I think both sides are equally at fault.
Equally.
No,
No. Okay.
no.
So do you
I
know
think-
how far back this goes?
I know it goes way before like my parents and their parents were born. That's for sure. I know
Probably
it's
not
way
their
more
parents.
I know it's probably what. Well, yeah, because that would be what. When was the state of Israel established
So
in that region?
so the Nakba was around 1948.
Oh yeah, so yeah.
The Nakba was the
Grandparents.
mass immigration of displaced Jews into the Middle East. Which
Would Cully Cattle just join? Call in, and then we'll drag you into recording. I
Yeah.
think I'm a mod here. I could probably do that.
I can also do that.
Okay.
Yeah, just join voice chat.
Yeah, join the call in voice channel or voice chat, and we'll drag you into the right thing.
Anyway, you were gonna tell me about this, which
Yeah, the
I'm not super educated on.
Blue Pill Arcane on Palestine, real quick.
Yeah,
So-
I'm not super educated on the Palestine thing, but I will always default on my moral intuition. So educate me, but don't take my pushback as me like saying no, you're wrong.
Yeah, no worries.
You know,
For sure.
go
Open
Israel.
conversation. So the Nakba. This guy's funny. What the fuck is a voice chat? Where is it?
Oh my god. This who's gonna get in. It's gonna be Joe Biden. Listen.
Have you joined the server or just Discord? Is he in the server?
Yes, he's in the server. It's Hungry
this-
African Baby.
Click
What
the
if this is
thing
a
that says
Trump's
voice
alt account?
chat.
Okay, so Nakba in Arabic means the catastrophe. It was an ethnic cleansing of Palestinian Arabs through their violent displacement and dispossession of land, property, and belongings, along with the destruction of their society and the suppression of their culture, identity, political rights, and national aspirations. Can you tell I'm reading from Wikipedia?
I can tell, and I was gonna call it out, but I was like, you know what? I'll let it happen.
Yeah. So Israel is a settler
Hungry
state.
African baby. Oh my god. Let's get him in here.
It is an ethno state, but that's
Oh,
what
his
it is.
camera's on. I'm gonna need you to not have that on. I don't know what's behind that.
Wait, hang on, I'm gonna.
I've seen enough streamer wrecks on 4chan to know what this
His
is.
camera is not on.
His camera was on for a second, and I'm scared of
He
what's
probably
gonna
did it on
pop
an
up.
accident. Hey, hungry African baby, how you doing?
What the f is up, you geeks?
Oh,
Yo, what's good?
You guys ready to fucking get schooled on some of the lessons that you're trying
Bro
to
sounds
teach up
like
here?
bro sounds like a villain in a Pixar movie. That's crazy.
You might want to hold your energy back a little bit.
Okay,
'cause
we're gonna
the
pause
lady
this
of the hour is
conversation on the
not
Nakba,
here.
but
Yes,
I feel like
please.
this will be
Okay,
more entertaining.
Yeah, I will even like talk to you about this separately if you want.
For
'cause I'm
sure.
very
Did you say
interested.
anything? Is there anything I can say?
No
Well, yeah,
slurs.
anything
That's
that'll
it.
get us kicked off of YouTube.
Yeah.
And my finger's on the trigger for banning you.
I'm back.
So. Okay,
What
Demi,
about
we got.
Nigeria?
What?
I mean, as long as you pronounce it like that.
Oh, okay. So you guys, what's your fucking opinions? Like, what's this chat over?
Well, you're listening to the stream. You have issues with our opinions, so you tell us what your issues are.
Bro's crashing out so hard, fingering away at his keyboard. He's not actually listening to the conversation.
I've been trying to get this fucking stupid app. I'm always
All right, well, you got it. Good job.
Harry Pooper. What the fuck? Are you like a chick or a dude? What is going on?
Harry Pooper? What?
The
He's
one that
referring to
looks
Demi.
like the
He's
ghost.
referring to
I think
Demi.
he's talking to Demi.
I immediately knew exactly who
Why
he was
can't I
talking
see it
about.
anymore? I knew it wasn't fucking real. That couldn't be a real person.
What wasn't a real person?
No, she's real. Her camera's still on stream. She turned it off.
My camera's
for
on
some
stream.
That was a Halloween costume. You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Oh, what I'm wearing?
How come I hear like 15 conversations going on? Am I
Do
too
you
much
have
chat?
the stream? Do you have the stream open as well?
When was the last time you took your schizophrenia meds?
The voices.
Oh god.
Are you drunk?
Check your
It's a
phone,
little
dude.
bit
You might have missed the notification there, bro.
Yeah, that's my fucking bad. Okay, you guys can go back to your conversation. I'll listen in this way. Now.
No, I want to hear what you have to say. Who the fuck is listening to Piranha?
I'm
Wait,
sure,
that's
I'm sure
me.
he'll interject as he sees
Why am I
fit. I
listening
have
to
a
Piranha
feeling.
Plant's lullaby?
Well, first it depends on what we're talking about. I got almost everything out that I needed to say, but all I was
Dude, the ball is in your court. We were talking about the Nakba with Arcane. But I'm interested in what you have to say about
The original conversation was about gender and gender ideology.
Yeah, what are your opinions on transgender identity, Mr.
Also, Demi probably.
Also, hungry. Just by the way, I would consider myself a conservative-leaning liberal. So you got to represent here, bro. I can't keep beating these allegations for y'all.
Bro, don't matter to me. Don't matter to me. All those transgender people, they ain't got fucking. They need to touch grass. They are making shit up. They're trying to confuse the public, and they're trying to make it so that there's no more families. It's literally an attack on the family, and all that transgender shit is just because they don't got any fucking other problems in their life, so they're making them up for fun.
Okay, how do you get to what's the point A to point B from there? How are people being transgender trying to destroy families as a concept?
Because it pisses off dads so much that they disown their transgender children.
Every single thing in their body is saying either they're a man or a woman. From every hormone, even every cell that's processed in their body, it's all genetically sexed.
Nobody's arguing the biological. That was never that's a kind of a straw man when it comes to arguing transgenderism, because biology isn't the conversation at all. That's not what they're
Well,
arguing.
biology is the same as social because there's a
No.
difference.
Oh no. that's
Biology.
not the same.
Well, no. He's wrong, but there is a crumb of truth. There is.
Yeah, let him cook. Let
There-
him cook.
Look, you guys can listen. Just listen for a
Okay,
second,
alright,
okay?
alright, go ahead.
Fucking tuck your penises or whatever the fuck you think you have between your legs. So, you guys.
Don't make me turn the fucking camera on, bro.
What about
Every
turning a
single
camera
cell,
on?
and therefore
Let's not turn our cameras
and
on.
all different proclivities that men and women have that are different, which makes us structure society through social roles, which makes things more organized and structured so that shit can actually happen without us having to figure everything out as we go. We have some wisdom from the past, and we're able to use that wisdom to be more productive, which
And do
is
you think
a
it's
male
possible?
and a female and their roles.
Do you think it's possible for less than 1% of the population to interfere with that social structure at all?
I think it's a waste of fucking time to focus on the 1% of the population when you have 99%
That's not
of
true,
them
dude.
relying on their
Do you know how much 1% is? That's a lot
I don't
of
give a
fucking
fuck
people.
how much 1% is. 1% of people probably have fucking Down syndrome and all that shit. That
Yeah,
doesn't mean
and we
take all
should
this
care
time.
about people with Down syndrome.
No, I think what
Yeah,
he's
okay.
saying is that
Down
is that
syndrome, yes, but
transgender
if you have-
ideology ideology is antithetical to like the normal the what was the word you used before, Jackie? Heteronormative,
Yeah.
like the
It's not the
heteronormative
pinnacle of
type deal.
society.
But the thing is, while that might be technically true, I don't think the two ideologies are
Entirely.
compatible. I don't think that's a good place for that's not a good hill for conservatives to die on, because what you're arguing is that a hyper minority of
Conservative, dude. I'm a free thinker.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, it's just
Conservative,
it's not
He's
an
smarter
identity.
than all of us. That's his
It's not a-
ideological.
You guys all want to call it some social team. Like, I'm not on a social
Look,
team
bro.
or
Look,
nothing.
bro. I either call you a conservative or I call you a groiper. It's one of the two.
Dude, I don't know. Is that like, what the fuck is a groiker? Does it sound
Okay,
like
so I'm
something
gonna call you a
you
conservative then.
Or what do you do with a groiker? Is that like
It's
a jockstrap?
No, don't worry about it, dude. Just continue. You're fine.
I want to hear about the
No.
warrior gene.
Yeah, tell us about the
Yeah,
warrior
yeah.
gene.
Yeah, bro.
You guys don't have it, so it can't be explained to you.
I'm black.
You guys all
I'm
got
black.
fucking
I'm
plague
black.
on-
No, I'm black.
You get to
Explain it.
have the warrior gene to understand the warrior gene. You
Bro,
can't
you
explain
are
it to us.
pretending to be black.
Bro, I
You
am
just-
actually
you probably
black.
paint
I'm
yourself
Hispanic and
fucking morning.
dude, I am literally
You
fucking
paint
Puerto
yourself
Rican and black.
victim points.
Bro, I am
Yeah,
Puerto
that's
Rican
all
and black. My nigga, I'm sorry, my boy. I am Puerto Rican and black.
Well, you're allowed to say it because you are.
Yeah. And I'm transgender. Whatever. You guys are just fucking trying
Oh my
to
god, bro.
make shit
All
up.
right.
No
You know
such
what?
thing as Puerto Rican, black people, or transgenders.
Wait,
It's all
did you
made
just
up.
say there's no such thing as Puerto Ricans and black people?
That's all propaganda.
Okay, this guy's just a
Yeah.
troll.
I love this guy.
No, he's onto something. Race actually doesn't fucking exist. He's actually correct. That's the most correct thing he said all night. Race fake.
The Jews made Puerto Rican and black people just to mess with us. They're not real.
Oh my god, bro.
What a conspiracy. Honestly, you know what? Good points. Maybe we should look into this. I don't know.
Right, dude. It's changing it. He's fracturing our worldview. That's crazy.
You guys don't need to look. I figured it out for you. You just need to learn to listen.
Okay.
You don't have to look any further. We're in the Weimar days. You guys
So
know
no,
what
go
Weimar
ahead,
is?
go ahead and talk. No, talk about the warrior gene, bro. I want to get that clip.
Bro, first you guys need to understand the Weimar Republic, okay?
Okay.
Look into
Explain
what
to
that
us.
was.
No, you tell us.
It's
I'm
Weimar
afraid that
Republic-
Wikipedia is controlled by cats.
Sure, yeah. Okay, you guys are smarter than
The
I
same
thought.
people who
I'm glad I
created
wanted to
black
start
people
from
in Puerto
the very
Rican.
beginning.
Okay.
All right, guys. I'm just fucking with you. I know there's black people and Puerto Ricans. I've seen them on the
You
news.
don't say.
You've
This
seen
is
them on the
the largest,
news.
Bro said
this
he's-
is the
bro
largest
said he's
ideological
seen them.
shift we've ever seen in human history. Guy starts to believe there's black Puerto Ricans.
That's insane, bro.
I just guys need you to know that the shit you see on the news, none of that's fucking real, okay? They're all just trying to make you think a certain way.
You're
Don't fall
right.
for any of that
Donald
shit.
Trump never got shot at. It's not real.
Yep.
Shut
I saw-
up. Come on.
What?
What do you mean, what?
Donald Trump
Come on.
Following his logic, it was on the news. It's not real.
It's not true.
No,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah,
She
it's
just
true.
pulled a genius.
How
reverse
careless of
card.
me.
What did the stream
Donald
devolve
Trump's a
into?
fucking messiah.
Something beautiful, Demi Gloom.
This is wonderful. This is open debate. This is freedom. This is America.
The guy
right
who was
now.
fucking trying to kill Donald Trump, both of his parents are behavioral therapists. Explain that to me. What are the fucking odds that both of your parents are behavioral therapists and you're the guy who gets 200 meters away from the
Jackie,
president?
fact check that.
It's a pretty.
Actually, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know why I just
Can
talked
you
to you like
pull
you're
that
fucking
up?
Jarvis. Jackie, can you fact check that, please?
You guys don't believe my uncle?
No, we don't believe your
Wait,
uncle.
who's your uncle? Who's your uncle?
Huh?
Who's your uncle, bro?
Uncle Jack.
This guy sounds
You
very
guys are
drunk.
Jack Mehoff?
No.
Check
Fuck you. This is crazy. You guys are such perverts. Can't even have a fucking grown-ass conversation with you guys. Just perving or having.
Uncle
So what-
Jack from
were you
Breaking
talking about
Bad?
funny
Is he
ass
married
group?
to Amanda Hugginkiss?
Huh?
Is he married to
I don't-
Amanda Hugginkiss?
No, I'm getting out of here. You guys are just too unmature.
Too
Unmature.
unmature.
Okay, this is
Bro.
awesome.
This dude is a
Fucking
master
concept.
troll.
I love this
Making
guy.
shit up.
Alright, have a good
American
one.
hero.
Guys.
Good
Listen
night,
to
bro.
Alex Jones. He'll tell you the truth.
You're right.
This
You're
is
right.
true.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything else. Right? This could come back to my work. So, see you
Have
guys
fun.
later.
Wait. Can we plug you anywhere? Do you have social media?
Fuck no.
No.
I couldn't even get
Of
Discord.
course
Bro,
not.
I was gonna say, bro, they
He's
didn't
been
have
banned.
Discord.
Yeah,
This is my
YouTube.
first day with the phone.
Doesn't
Oh,
Nick
damn.
Fuentes? Isn't Nick Fuentes?
How are
like,
these
on a
people
no-fly list?
finding my stream?
I swear to God, dude,
Where you guys
that
from?
Demi, that Michael Knowles thing you did,
Yeah.
like that actually might have like been genius for you to do, because like that's how I discovered you. It's probably how a lot of people discovered
Yeah.
you, was that Michael Knowles.
The Ben
clip
Shapiro
that
one
went viral.
too.
Yeah, and the Ben
Nobody
Shapiro
knows the
one.
real Demi Gloom lore. Nobody knows about largest issue in the galaxy. Okay,
Oh,
that's where
shut
Demi
up,
Gloom got her
Riley.
start. That's where Demi Gloom was
You're getting
born.
outshined by Michael Knowles and fucking that dang dab. Nobody knows Demi
know.
from largest issue anymore.
Which I don't know what possessed you to
Tragic.
try and suggest that Michael Knowles was actually secretly wanting to fuck you, Demi, but
I was just
That's
messing
That's a
around.
good bit.
that was such a good troll. Because you see him like immediately like get freaked out by that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm surprised
And
he let
that's
us do like a sit down. Yeah.
Yeah. He got your number after the show, after the
That's not
interview.
true. That's not true. I mean, that is true. That is true.
Me
He
when I
definitely did
spread
that.
misinformation.
No, for a while, his manager was stalking Demi's Instagram stories. Because his manager, or his producer, I mean, was the one that came up to us and was like, hey, do you want to have a sit-down interview with Michael Knowles after the show? He was actually really cool, really courteous. I mean, that's his job. He's not
Well,
really
yeah,
the
that-
ideological guy. But like for a few
Oh, he is
weeks
an
after
ideological guy. He definitely is.
They all are.
No, I mean, like, it's not his job
He's
to...
Oh,
smarter than
yeah.
you guys ever will be. You guys will never be as smart as him. None of you guys will ever get even
No,
a quarter.
you
as-
misinterpret. I'm not insulting his intelligence or his occupation. I'm just saying that it's not his job to debate with us.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
he could've-
funny that
Also, I forgot you were even here. I thought you left.
Yeah, me too.
they're like grown ass men and they do target teenagers, which is kind of hilarious. That they think like owning an 18-year-old girl is like a fucking own, but whatever. They still kick ass and are
This guy is oddly accepting of your gender identity, Demi.
I know.
very smart dude,
Yeah,
especially compared to what you fucking know. I get it.
that's what I'm
Y'all
saying.
lose.
That's what I'm saying. He's a troll.
Yeah.
I like this guy.
It's very funny. Can't believe we got stream sniped.
Did we?
Look
This is
behind
Michael
you.
Knowles with a voice changer.
This is Trump's alt account.
So
He just-
true.
This is Trump. Good stream.
I love that I was just eating ice cream for the last like 20 minutes on stream and just listening to this bullshit.
What kind of
Listen,
ice
as
cream?
your
You know what's
manager, I
another
can
weird
take over
topic
it.
I'm interested in talking about?
Yeah, go ahead.
Transgenderism and gender ideology as it relates to sexuality specifically.
You guys are
Like-
consumed with sex. Free your minds. Do something fucking productive. You think you're put on this world just to think about fucking cocks and vagina?
Yes,
Bro,
literally, we
are
are
you
meant
a,
to reproduce.
Hold on, very
Bro.
important question. Are you
There's more to fucking life than, oh, can we cut our penises off and maybe get a new set of boobs? You guys are fucking losers. I'm gonna go
Isn't
hang
this
out with
all
my
we
wife
do?
and family. Good night.
Okay.
damn
What
it.
were you saying, Arcade?
No, I was just curious, like, what your guys' view on like the whole idea of like, because so this could be more of like the unhinged side of the trans argument, but I've heard it said that like if you don't want to date a trans person, like you're transphobic.
No, that's
or that
insanely
like
dumb.
some-
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. Okay,
bad. Bad
okay,
take.
good. That was the weirdest take I've ever seen.
You know, I
and
kind of
heard
wish
that, I was
Riley
like,
stepped in and was like, you know what? I've been thinking recently. Maybe it is transphobic. Riley
That would
is
be
the
pretty
guy that I
funny.
want to see have an idea like that.
I'm gonna
Wait,
check
what
the
do you
stream
mean?
real quick.
Check the stream for what? Agreement
Just
of
the
what
audio.
culture is.
like you're gonna have
Yeah,
to. be
we
taking
didn't really
hormone
think about the
block
audio
comfort.
leveling of all these new characters.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Good stream, eh?
Yeah, I think it's about time to
good.
end.
Oh, really?
We could stay in the call, but I think the stream is dying.
Fair enough.
Okay.
All right. Does anyone have any plugs they want to do?
I might pick up streaming again, but like, just look me up on Twitch, I guess.
What's your Twitch?
Everybody,
Same as it should be. It's a Thane_257. Oh wait, no, it's not. Hold on, I changed it. Hold on.
everybody subscribe, follow, watch this person.
Oh yeah, Arcane Thane. So Arcane_Thane on Twitch.
That's THANE or
I-N.
THIN. Okay,
Yep,
Arcane_THIN.
Yep.
Follow my Twitter. If Demi pulled it up.
I'm
She
not
did
pulling
not.
it up. Just say it.
Squeebs
screen
_ to last.
There you go. I'll just put it in the chat.
SQUEEBS _
That's their
TEHLAST.
Twitter. And if you're watching this, you already know about me. Listen to my podcast called Middle School GSA, linked in the description and on this channel, featured channels. Go check that out. Yeah, you're gay.
Wait a minute. What the fuck?
You can
I
go.
sandbag. I'm trying to go. I was waiting for my turn, and then you were like, "Oh, I guess that's it."
I'm saying I'm down.
Folks,
Like I'm saying that's it for my plugs.
Okay, I got you. Folks, if you go to linktr.ee/Riley Cinematic Universe, that's RIELY Cinematic Universe, you will find a wealth of YouTube channels and podcasts, a Twitter account, all sorts of silly stuff there. If you like me, there's so much of me on the internet that you will inevitably get sick of me, and you can find it all at linktr.ee/Riley Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, you're probably gonna have to take a few hours of your day to, study up on all of the links that are on that website.
Amazing.
True. You gotta listen. You gotta 100% all of my content. It'll probably take you about 70 million years, considering I've probably released like an hour plus podcast like fucking almost every day for the past 5 years.
Riley's working on becoming the next Christian. He's trying to beat Christian in being the most documented person on the internet.
Oh my god! Don't get me started on Christian, man. That's another thing.
He's actually sorry, I don't know why I
No,
misgendered you, Riley. I'm sorry about that.
okay.
He's actually been using his latest paychecks to pay for quite a few, high-end security cameras to actually, stream 24/7. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm
try the
excited for that.
24/7 Riley stream. Yeah,
Fish Tank
We gotta
Live.
get you on Fish Tank Live, yeah.
bro. Everyone would hate me and I would do really bad, but it would be funny.
All right, goodbye, guys. Thanks for tuning in.